wow. It's not possible in any way. It's not possible. You were saying something about Thames and
okay,
you
yes.
handling the
So
award today.
apparently, do you know that our lovely Thames was at this event, and she was not just at this event. She was one of the people that presented awards.
award.
Like they called her up to present an award to someone. I'm just like, baby girl going places. Poor big fur. I'm like, no. I was so glad.
Proud,
Yes, I'm so
like,
proud. Like,
that's an
I really like it when
Nigerian
Nigerians are really entering global scene and like, this is the. But the event was like meant for like to award like fashion people in the fashion space, which is really nice. We've been seeing a lot of award shows for people that do acting, people that do music and everything. So it was really I think it's nice to see things like that as well, like them awarding fashion designers, people that are really making it in the fashion space. It was really nice.
Okay, I don't know if we have more time to take more stories. Or should we take the last one?
Let's give them at least one more.
Okay, let's take one more story. Emmy-winning actress Kerry Washington has honored with the 2,796th star on the Hollywood Walk of Fame on Monday, December 2nd. The ceremony was a star-studded event with Hollywood powerhouse Tyler Perry and Shonda Rhimes joining Washington to celebrate her achievements. Speaking at the podium, Rhimes praised the Scandal star's evolution both on and off screen. Over the course of Scandal, I watched her become a wife and a mother. I also watched her become a business woman, a producer, and an icon. She does it all with this determination and grace, and she's joyful about it, Rhimes said. Washington's parents were also present for the momentous occasion, reflecting on their support. She said, "My mom and dad taught me to dream. They taught me to believe and to pursue. And so here we are. Mom and dad, you can believe it, an actual star." Unlike many recipients who bask in the individual glory of the honor, Washington dedicated her star to everyone who contributed to her journey. "When I look at the star, I see all the people I've ever worked with who have made this possible. Every director, every actor I've acted alongside, every crew member, every producer, every publicist, every person who helped me get here," she said. Following the ceremony, Washington made time to connect with her fans, staying long after most guests and media had departed to sign autograph and show her gratitude. Washington's next project, The 688, a true-life World War II drama directed by Tyler Perry, will stream on Netflix starting December 20th. So let's take a look at the video.
Her in front of her. As the CEO of the global media company, Shana. She's the first. I'm so proud of you. I'm so excited to celebrate this moment with you, and I wish you nothing but the best, my love. God bless you. God bless you. God bless you. She's got to start.
Everybody to the left, please.
She's a born leader. She's always taking care of everybody, always the hardest worker. She's passionate about the role she plays, about her philanthropy, about her activism, about the world, and she is passionate about her family. When I first met Kerry, she was single. Over the course of Scandal, I watched her become a wife and a mother. I also watched her become a businesswoman, a producer, and an icon. She does it all with this determination and this grace, and she's joyful about it. So she is a star. She's a bright star who lights up our world, and she also lights up everyone around her.
All right. Congratulations. Everybody look right straight ahead.
Are you happy? No.
Not yet.
My mom and dad also taught me to dream. They taught me to believe and to pursue. And so here we are. Mom, Dad, can you believe it? An actual star. You made a wish and it came true. And now I am swirling in a galaxy of other stars.
To the left, please. Back to the middle. Right there, perfect. Carrie, right here. Smile.
I'm grateful for the starlight in you that has allowed me to be here today. May you always know that this star, this Kerry Washington star, this is our star. It is your star as much as it is mine. So thank you for being on this cosmic journey with me. May we keep shining and lighting the way for each other and for the world. Thank you.
Right behind you, ladies, together.
Well, I really meant what I said on stage, that I feel like when I look at this star, I see all of the people I've ever worked with who've made this possible. Every director, every actor I've been able to act across from, every crew member, every producer, every publicist, every person who's helped me get here. This is our star together. So I'm really grateful that so many of those people could be here today, and even that all the fans watching, I want people to feel like this is their star. Like if people don't tune in and show up at the movie theater and stream your movies and watch your content, then you don't get a star. So this really is your star and my star together.
You should go around.
Thank you.
Thanks, Tony.
Congratulations.
Watch the wires down there too.
And this one is for my kid. I definitely appreciate it. And
Thank you so much.
Keep it out of her face, guys. Keep it out of her face.
one shot to your
Okay. What do you have
Yes.
to say for that little clip? I'm so proud of her, honestly.
Yes.
I'm so proud of her.
Congrats to Kerry Washington. I really loved seeing her on my screen. When Scamish was in Scandal, I really loved seeing her. I was just like, this woman, her vibe
How
during
she
that
juggled
movie
being
was
a
just...
mom, being, oh my goodness, a producer, and
It's
I'm
a
actually
lot.
anticipating that movie on December 20th.
Oh, the one she's doing with Tyler.
Yes,
Okay,
I'm
Tyler
actually
Perry.
anticipating that movie, but I'm so proud of her. I'm so happy for her for giving credit to her family, friends,
Yes,
crew,
yes.
and
And
those
she
that
seemed
helped
really
her.
like genuinely happy
Yes.
that whole thing. It was really it's cute. It was a cute moment.
Calm down.
Shame it, I'll not go and get star. I want star too.
Okay, guys, we'll go on a very quick break. When we return, we'll be reviewing our guests for you today, so stay with us.
Hello everyone, I'm Laomi Ademi and I'm live at the ENUGU Sports Club Hall where the auditions for the Voices in Praise initiative is taking place. So if you're a lover of gospel music, come close, come close. Time to have a time of a lifetime. Hear amazing, amazing, amazing voices. Stay tuned.
Like the Spirit.
All right, welcome back. You're still watching E-Vibes, the entertainment show on Signature TV. I have a one-of-a-kind guest. His name is Valentine Ebonohab, aka Big Wags. So today we'll be talking about how he juggles being a DJ and a freestyle
lifestyle
influencer. Okay, lifestyle influencer, right?
Yes.
So he's also a hype man, a DJ, a lifestyle. This guy has a lot in his table, but we'll be asking him. He's going to have a conversation with us. How do you do the two? Thanks for joining.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome. So let's delve right at it.
Into it, yes. So can you tell us what inspired you to go into becoming a DJ and also becoming a lifestyle influencer as well? And I think I would love to know, at what time did you do DJing before you decided to add lifestyle influencing to it
and MC
and everything? Yeah, can you tell us about that?
Me being a DJ, DJing is something that I've loved for years back, like since I was small. So I had to pick it up. From there, I think I started in my primary school year. I was too I was too young, and I started early, very early, because it's just my thing. It's just something that I love so much and love seeing people do.
Okay.
So I had to pick that up in my, let me say, primary 2 year. That's when I started. It was just tough for me because I was too young. Due to my parents, everything, everybody be like, this boy, you're too small for this. I didn't listen to them. So I had to pick that up and worked on that. Today, I'm grateful that I'm getting to where I want to be.
That's
so
nice.
At what point did you now decide that, okay, I would also love to be a lifestyle influencer?
Coming to that lifestyle influencer is just because of me, my job, and how people get to love me.
Okay.
So I had to add that to get more audience and
more cash.
Yeah.
So now tell us the challenges you face when you try to juggle these two things, because it's more like a vlog, right? So how do you now juggle it? How do you strike the balance, being a DJ, being an MC, and a lifestyle influencer?
Me being a hype man is just something that I work with, and that's just talent. Like
it comes with the DJing?
Yeah.
Okay.
I just have to join that. And the lifestyle influencer, being a DJ is more about the lifestyle too.
Okay.
People get to love how you dress, how you do, people just emulate your lifestyle. So you have to be good. And being a lifestyle influencer just come with the job I do. So that's why.
Has there ever been any time where these two professions were clashing and you had maybe to pick one over the other?
No, it can't clash. It's just more of the DJ that I do.
Okay, so also the
lifestyle,
the major influencing you do is like
DJ,
based on the fact that you're DJ.
Based on, let me just call it nightlife.
Yeah.
Okay, nightlife influencer. Yeah, that really works, like with being a DJ.
Because do you understand? At least when you're doing that, you're making your vlog and people are like, nice and all that.
So nice.
Okay, so now talk to us about lifestyle influencing. What are the basics people need to do? Because if I want to start my own vlog now,
okay, you want to make a lifestyle about
future,
your life,
possibly.
As an anchor. Please, can we focus on that?
Yes, now talk to us about it. You get, tell us the techniques, the right protocols to follow, because I feel like sometimes people tend to overshare their private life most times in this vlog and all. Do you understand? So talk to us the techniques and do's and don'ts.
It's not all about the vlog thing or anything like that, but it's just about you trying to convince people that here is, like, let me say where I work, I'll be like, here is the best place to be, and people will listen to you. They don't have to like argue that. That's just how you influence them to come to this place. And maybe you telling them that this is the best place to have their best time. They will listen to you.
Okay.
So you're doing a lot of recommendations and
you telling them that this drip
is the best.
Yes. They will listen to you.
That's amazing. So can you tell us a bit about your time management? Yes, I want to know how you manage time, the time for gigs, the time for content creation, because I know content creation takes a whole lot of time. So how do you like manage your time? You know you have gigs coming up, then you have videos you have to like create,
because you guys edit it.
Juggling.
You edit it.
Editing, or do you have people that do that?
Yeah, I have my manager. He's even the one that do more of that. So me, I just have to focus on that DJing.
Okay.
Okay.
So that's it.
So there's no time you've ever turned down opportunities to come DJ. Okay, you juggle DJing and MCing, right? So there's no time you've ever turned down opportunity like that to do your lifestyle vlog.
No, my lifestyle, this thing is not more about the vlog.
Okay.
You get? It's just more about your people.
Seeing your.
Yeah, that's it.
Okay. Have you ever had to like deny some or reject? Let me use the word reject. Reject some gigs that have come to you. Like, I mean, to influence. It's not every thing that as an influencer, I know that there's some things that may not necessarily like tally with your brand. So can you tell us if you've had to reject some people and reasons why, like that? Talk us through that.
I think I get more of DJing
work than live influencing.
Because when I'm to DJ for your events, it covers the both places. Because when people hear that I'm coming to this concert, party, show, it's more of like to influence the
event. You're influencing the event that way as well.
So I think that's why I get more of DJing.
Okay, because people feel like they're already covering
more
for that.
Of my life is DJing.
So you're paying your whole attention on DJing more than the lifestyle. Okay, so talking about that now, what mistakes have you made and how have you learned from those mistakes? Doing the DJing, doing the vlog, doing the influencing work, doing the MC work. What mistakes have you made and how have you learned from it?
In my life, I don't think that I do make mistakes because.
But you know nobody's above mistake, right?
Yeah. I'm just trying to tell you that I take every day of my life as a learning process.
See motivation.
So I don't feel like I make mistakes because that's a way to weigh me down.
Okay.
Because I'm a very emotional person, so I don't want to feel like I made a mistake. Maybe I should just speak from what happened and try to balance with that. So that's it. But my DJ life is good, but you have to work extra hard. There is no working hard, extra hard. Yeah.
There was a time I had an interview with a DJ as well, and she told me the fact that there are times that they like request your outfits, like they control what you wear, and that they've had to request that this is how they want her to look, and because of that she does like an extra charge just because of that demand they're making. So do they make demands from you like that, like they want you to look a certain way?
I don't think that. When you're booking me, I'm meant to deliver 100%. Like, I used to ask what's the color of the day, what's the event all about. So that one, I don't need to add extra fee. Since you booked me, I need to deliver 100%. So I don't need to be asking you for extra charge.
So they've never made demands that
you must dress
feel like it's uncomfortable.
Yeah.
No, my clients can make demands because you already booked me. So
you don't charge extra.
Yeah.
Wow.
That's very interesting.
Okay, so now how do you now stay inspired and motivated, balancing these two fields? Because these are two big fields. You understand? I know you're focusing just in DJing. You've not focused really on the lifestyle influencer thing. So, but how do you stay inspired doing the both of them?
I'm very much inspired in my DJ line because of what. This is what I love. Like,
you just like mixing music.
It's not about mixing the music.
Okay.
Everything that comes with it. The vibe, the energy. Like, even if I'm like I'm in a bad mood and I get to DJ at that moment, I'll be good for you. Like, so it's just something that works with my spirit. So I just feel like this is my thing.
Okay.
Do you get? So
All right.
that's how it is.
That's really amazing. So, can you just tell us, if it wasn't DJing, if it wasn't lifestyle influencing, what would you be doing?
I will still be DJing.
Wow!
Is this love for DJing for me?
It's the commitment to the craft for me.
What did you study in school?
I'm not in uni yet.
Oh wow! You want to focus more on the DJing?
I don't want. It's not like I want to focus more. It's just something like that. It's just.
You don't want to share?
Yeah.
Something more private.
Yeah.
Okay. That's good. That's good.
Do you have more questions for her?
Actually, I would love him to play a game with us. Yes. Okay. So,
don't fall our hand.
This is since you are into lifestyle influencing, you know some of these things. You should know some of these things. So we'll be doing social media abbreviations. So I'll tell you the abbreviation. You tell me the full meaning and all the full word. So OOTD.
I think I've got this question before, but I don't know what it's all about.
But you influence.
You don't know social media abbreviation? Yes, no.
I don't know that.
I'm
sorry.
You just feel my hand.
Okay, okay. I'll tell you that one. Then I'll give you a very popular one. OOTD is outfit of the day. So what of GRWM?
That's get ready with me.
So you don't get ready with me, you don't know outfit of the day.
Outfit of the day. Like someone that tells us what to wear doesn't know outfit of the day.
Really?
Sorry about that. Like,
you just follow your own hand. Okay, so let me give you this one. TTYL.
TTYL. TTYL.
Think.
Do you know the funniest part? It's not like they don't use these abbreviations on their socials.
So,
I don't know if they don't know the meaning of what they're using or what. Because I know you've actually used it.
Wow.
Sorry about that.
Jesus Christ. Talk to you later.
I thought of this.
So why did you say it? Okay. Should we give him that one? Or moving forward to the next game?
Let's go to something he might be more familiar with.
Okay.
Which is match the lyric with a song. So I would read out a lyric from a song, and you have to tell me the name of that song and who sang it.
Yes.
Because I know you love DJing. You've talked about your passion. So let me use something that I know that is more relatable. So okay, some of us are wise. Every other person overwise.
That's what Ghana is now.
By who? Okay.
Nice one.
No, you got this one. It's fine.
Okay, so let me ask you. This distance is taking a hold of me for sure.
That's close,
He truly knows his stuff. Okay, what of this one? Cover face like Lagbaja.
That's Burna Boy song, but I need to know the name of the song.
It's actually not Burna Boy song.
It's not Burna at all.
Is there any other line in the same song?
That's the only line we have for you.
Cover face like Lagbaja.
Why you're giving him expo?
And I try to be nice to our guest.
This song is playing in my head, but I'm trying to remember this.
Sprinkle.
Can you tell us?
Going.
Wait.
Okay.
That's Mobad.
And
okay, what's the name of the song?
That's the song that's like TikTok boys and tap. Ask about me. Is that?
No.
That's not the name now.
That's not the name.
You got the people that sang it, but
he sang the song with Chike.
Oh, Egu. That's it.
One over.
Okay,
let me ask you this one. Oh yeah, get up and dance.
That's Holy Ghost fire now.
You sure did not for your hand in this side, though.
Music is good. Okay, what of you? I give you a word, then we're playing another game now. I give you a word, and you tell us, like you sing a song that has that word in it. I think this should be way easier.
This one is the last game actually, so we'll draw a curtain.
Yes. Baby.
Letting be that, nothing I can do for my
baby.
Okay. One more. Ask.
Ask about me. Yes,
High five.
This guy is good. It doesn't know. That's
social media abbreviation. But you see the DJ is inside his bone marrow. I'm so proud of you, Sha.
It's been really, really lovely chatting with you. We
loved
enjoyed
it.
ourselves, and I'm sure that people that are watching as well really enjoyed themselves.
Yeah.
So guys, we are drawing the curtains to this particular episode. But if you know that, in fact, you can't tell me you didn't enjoy this episode. So since you enjoyed this episode, do well to tune in tomorrow by 1 p.m. We are live on YouTube 24/7. We are here for you. Don't miss it. And do well to follow us on all our social media platforms. Follow. Hit that subscribe button.
Comment.
Yes, I need to tell you, hit that subscribe button. Don't allow us to fight too. Yes. So I've been your wonderful host, Layomi Adeyemi. And of course, I didn't do the show alone.
It's your baby girl, Queen Swonkunta. Enjoy the rest of your day. Bye.
Country is not favorable. Like most policies towards the youths don't. Most policies from the government don't like favor the youth. Okay, my dad used to tell me that while he was growing up, things were better, and then now I cannot say same because I'm a student. And okay, my dad told me that when he was a student, as a young person as I am now, they used to like have meal tickets and stuff in the university, but now it's not the same. And also, the government's policies towards the youth is unfavorable. When you're traveling, most times they see you with a laptop. You can assume a different thing and say you're a fraudster or something. So everything that comes from the government is seemingly against the youth. So
we Nigerians, we are used to this fact that if state is not failing, we still have to see struggle, do one or two things. But I feel on a normal, it ought not to be like that per se, because the government is supposed to make things way easier for us. In a sense, because the system is pretty hard, very hard, very hard. I'm telling you, I have some final year friends currently, like friends in final year, and they're like, I was like asking them, how are you too happy that you're about leaving the school? They're like, oh my God, I know that when we leave school now, it's another world entirely, and it's not funny actually out there.
Okay, so I don't think the government is treating the youths well, especially in the aspect of employment, because there's not enough like jobs now for us. Most of the jobs are already like taken by people that are older and stuff like that. So we don't have enough jobs, not enough employment. Yeah, I think we should be celebrated because why not? I mean, we've done a lot for the country. We're doing.
Welcome to Global News on Signature TV. I am Barikumo Ado. In the headlines, California lawmakers begin special session to discuss how to Trump-proof state laws. China says it's willing to work with Australia after meat trade restrictions lifted. Daniel Penny arrives at court as closing arguments begin in subway chokehold case. And at least 7 killed in deadly cyclone-triggered landslide in India. Details shortly.
Okay, I am Dr. Bashir.
We are local.
We are right now with the wife of the man that was.
Why the main market is in chaos. People are.
We are national.
Those in support of this motion as amended, say aye. Aye.
We have taken it by default.
We are international.
Israeli airstrikes.
Donald Trump left us the worst unemployment.
Signature TV, news in your pocket.
California lawmakers returned to Sacramento on Monday to swear in new members and choose an assembly speaker ahead of a special session called by Governor Gavin Newsom to Trump-proof the state for a new incoming Trump administration. Newsom, a Democrat, last month called a special legislative session to address policy proposals of President-elect Donald Trump. He said threaten the state's values in areas such as civil rights, immigration, and climate. Trump responded to Newsom's announcement by saying on social media that the governor is trying to kill the nation's beautiful California. No, there were no special topics on the agenda for the start of the session, which included a roll call, swearing in, choosing an assembly speaker, and a few brief remarks before it was adjourned until January. In his comments after securing the speakership, Robert Rivers, a Democrat who represents California's 29th district, made several references to the changes in Washington, D.C. and vowed to uphold the values of the state.
If LGBTQ people come under attack, if hardworking immigrants are targeted, if women's reproductive freedom is threatened, we will fight back with everything we have. The country looks to California for leadership, and we will continue to lead. But our ability to protect these essential California values of equality, of diversity, of opportunity, depends on delivering for constituents in practical, concrete ways. To my Democratic colleagues, this election was a clarifying moment. But I don't feel discouraged, and I hope you don't either. Clarity gives us a unique opportunity to do more.
U.S. President-elect Donald Trump said on Monday he will travel to Paris to attend this weekend's reopening of a Notre Dame Cathedral, which was gutted by a fire over 5 years ago in its first foreign trip since winning the election. Notre Dame, a Gothic masterpiece, is one of the French capital's most beloved and visited monuments. It will reopen its doors later this week to tourists and the Catholic faithful. Major reconstruction work have restored a 12th century cathedral. Its spire, rib vaulting, flying buttresses, stained glass windows and carved stone guiles to their past glory, with the white stone and gold decorations shining brighter than ever. Trump won the November 5 election, is due to take office on January 20, praised the government of French President Emmanuel Macron in a post on a social media platform Truth Social on Monday.
But I will tell you, the fire that they're having at the Notre Dame Cathedral is something like few people have witnessed. When we left, we had a whole group of your great representatives, and when we left the plane, it was burning at a level that you rarely see a fire burn. It's one of the great treasures of the world, the greatest artists in the world. Probably, if you think about it, I would say, Jovita, it might be greater than almost any museum in the world, and it's burning very badly. It looks like it's burning to the ground.
The French government invited Trump to attend Saturday's reopening ceremony, and his team has been in discussions with Macron's office about the trip, said a source familiar with the matter. Trump's transition team did not immediately respond to questions about whether the president-elect will meet other foreign leaders in Paris. His planned visit comes amid political turmoil in France, where the government is all but certain to collapse later this week after far-right and left-wing parties submitted no-confidence motions on Monday against Prime Minister Michel Barnier. The U.S. State Department said it wants to see a political process to end Syria's civil war after rebel fighters made gains in the city of Aleppo. The assault in northwestern Syria was launched last week, the day that Israel and Lebanese armed group Hezbollah began a truce ending more than a year of fighting. The rebel operation is the boldest advance and biggest challenge to Syrian President Bashar al-Assad in years, in a civil war where front lines have largely been frozen since 2020. Assad has vowed to crush the insurgents. Tehran has pledged to aid his government, and hundreds of fighters from Iran-backed Iraqi militias have crossed into Syria to help. Insurgents are a coalition of Turkey-backed mainstream secular armed groups spearheaded by Hayat Tahrir al-Sham, or HTS, an Islamic group that has been designated a terrorist outfit by Turkey, the US, Russia, and other states.
In the immediate term, what we want to see are de-escalation and protection of civilians and minority groups. But our overall policy remains the same, is that we want to see a serious and credible political process to end this civil war once and for all, with a political settlement consistent with United Nations Security Council Resolution 2254. As you know, Sean, that resolution calls for a process facilitated by the United Nations where the Syrian regime and the opposition groups would negotiate a path forward for Syria. It's important that that path be Syrian-led and that have a process that ultimately leads towards elections. That's what we want to see over the long term, but in the short term, we want to see a de-escalation of the situation and protection of civilians.
Former German Chancellor Angela Merkel presented a memoir, Freedom, Memories, 1954-2021, United States on Monday at a Washington event with former U.S. President Barack Obama, reflecting their close political partnership. During the question and answer session, Obama engaged Merkel on a perspective of German division shaped by upbringing in Western Germany, as well as her leadership during pivotal moments such as the Syrian refugee crisis and the 2008 European debt crisis. In the book, Merkel reflects on her 16 years in power, detailing her interactions with leaders such as Russian President Vladimir Putin and Donald Trump. The memos arrives as her legacy faces renewed scrutiny amid current global crisis.
How do you think about your own identity as somebody who had been born in West Germany, grown up in East Germany, and now suddenly you have a unified sense of German identity?
Even when you have absence of freedom, you can still live a valuable, a good life. And in West Germany, so even up until this day, we have not been able to recognize that these two different kinds of life make Germany one, is something that needs to be appreciated by both sides. I don't know how it is in the United States, but I know that these are issues also on your agenda, are they not?
During her 4 consecutive terms in office, Merkel steered Germany and Europe through the global financial crisis, the Eurozone debt crisis, and the COVID-19 pandemic. But she has since faced criticism for allowing Germany to become ever more dependent on cheap Russian gas and Chinese trade, even following Russia's forcible annexation of Crimea and industry warnings against over-reliance on China. Taiwan's defense ministry said on Tuesday that it's thoroughly assessing China's military activities, as security sources said Beijing could launch new war games as soon as this weekend. China, which claims democratically governed Taiwan as its own territory, has held 2 rounds of war games around the island so far this year, and its forces operate nearby on a daily basis. It could launch new drills to coincide with Taiwan President Lai Ching-te's trip to the Pacific this week, which includes visits to Hawaii and Guam, an arrangement China has protested against. Lai rejects China's sovereignty claims, but says he wants peace with Beijing, has repeatedly offered talks, but have been rebuffed.
Our overall national defense security is an unshakable responsibility of the Ministry of National Defense. Under this duty, we conduct very meticulous and comprehensive assessments of all enemy situations. Through these assessments, we analyze the possible actions the enemy might take, including their most likely actions and other potentially more harmful actions. All of these are within the scope of our overall intelligence monitoring.
China's foreign ministry said on Tuesday that China is willing to work with Australia to improve bilateral relations, just after Beijing lifted trade restrictions on 2 Australian meat processing facilities, allowing the full resumption of red meat exports to the country. Beijing has now removed restrictions from all 10 Australian abattoirs it banned between 2020 and 2022. The bans were imposed around the time that China blocked imports of commodities including coal, barley and wine from Australia after Canberra called for an independent investigation into the origin of COVID-19. Chinese Foreign Ministry spokesperson Lin Jian would not comment directly on lifting of restrictions when asked about the issue, but said China is willing to work with Australia to continue to properly address each other's concerns through dialogue and consultation.
For specific economic and trade issues, I suggest you check with the relevant authorities on the Chinese side. What I can tell you here is that China is willing to work with Australia to continue to properly address each other's concerns through dialogue and consultation, so as to ensure the stable development of China-Australia relations, more the betterment of the people of both countries.
China is the second largest market for Australian beef and veal, after the United States receiving around 200,000 metric tons a year, worth around $1.5 billion in recent years, Australian trade data show. Beirut residents voiced on Tuesday concerns about the state of Israel as well as ceasefire, after an exchange of fire between the two put the U.S. brokered agreement in an increasingly fragile position less than a week after it took effect. At least 9 people were killed and 3 injured on Monday from Israeli strikes in 2 southern Lebanese towns, Tolosa and Haris, as the Israeli military said it struck dozens of Hezbollah targets throughout Lebanon. Earlier on Monday, Lebanese authorities reported 2 additional deaths in Israeli strikes in other parts of southern Lebanon, including a state security member killed while on duty, bringing the day's death toll to 11. The latest Israeli strike came shortly after Hezbollah accused Israel of violating a ceasefire agreement and fired missiles on an Israeli military position in the disputed Sheba Farms area in what Iran-backed group called a defensive warning strike. Residents in Beirut also said they had drones flying overhead at low altitudes late in the evening of Monday.
We need someone from abroad to help us or to stand by us, to stop the war, to stop Israel from crossing boundaries, to prevent it from killing us, displacing us, destroying our homes, and killing innocent people who aren't guilty of anything. Who will compensate for those people who have lost their homes? Who? Who will compensate for the loss of souls? For those who have lost a beloved one, a son, a husband, or a relative. Who will compensate for all the people who died?
We're always optimistic. And we say that what's happening is inhumane and immoral. What's happening, whether it's in Gaza or in Lebanon, they, referring to the Israelis, don't have any pact or loyalty. It is a hellish plan against the Arab nation. It got dismantled like a domino effect. Here and there, they fragmented the Arab nation, and unfortunately our Arab leaders are disconnected from their people. Unfortunately, I don't know what will happen. No one knows what the future holds. But I think that powerful countries should support this poor and miserable people that is being hurt in the south of Lebanon and Beirut. This shouldn't be allowed. It's a shame. There are families, there are children, there are people who don't want all this conflict.
The truce prohibits Israel from conducting offensive military operations in Lebanon, while requiring Lebanon to prevent armed groups, including Hezbollah, from launching attacks on Israel. Up ahead, NATO foreign ministers to meet in Brussels to discuss Ukraine and Middle East crisis. Guatemalan devotees return Christ statue to volcano crater. We bring you details of these and more after the break.
We are local.
We are right now with the wife of the man that was
The market is in chaos. People are...
We are national.
Those in support of this motion as amended, say aye. Aye.
We have taken the blue by default.
We are international.
Israeli airstrikes. Donald Trump left us the worst unemployment.
Signature TV, news in your pocket.
NATO foreign ministers are to meet in Brussels to discuss Ukraine's membership to the alliance and the Middle East crisis on Tuesday. According to diplomats, however, NATO is highly unlikely to heed Ukraine's call for a membership invitation at a meeting on Tuesday, dashing Kyiv's hopes of a political boost as it struggles on the battlefield and awaits Donald Trump's return to the White House. In a letter to his NATO counterparts ahead of the meeting, Ukrainian Foreign Minister Andrei Sybiha said an invitation will remove one of Russia's main arguments for waging its war, namely preventing Ukraine from joining the alliance. Speaking on condition of anonymity, diplomats said there is no sign of a required consensus among NATO's 32 members for such a decision at the foreign ministers' meeting in Brussels. Ukraine sees NATO membership as the best guarantee of its future security. Under NATO's Article 5 Mutual Defense Pact, members agree to treat an attack on one as an attack on all and come to each other's aid. While NATO has declared Ukraine will join its ranks and that the country's path to NATO is irreversible, it has not issued an invitation or set out a timeline for membership. Such decision will depend above all on NATO's predominant power, the United States, so will soon be a matter for Trump when he returns as UN president next month. Trump has criticized the scale of U.S. aid for Kyiv and said he would end the war in a day, but he has not set out a detailed plan of how he would tackle the conflict. Some NATO members, such as Hungary, have openly voiced opposition to Ukraine joining the alliance, but some others have also signaled they do not think the time is right, such as the current U.S. and German governments, according to diplomats. NATO allies need to step up their military aid for Ukraine to strengthen Kyiv's position should it enter negotiations with Moscow over an end to the war, NATO Chief Mark Rutte said on Tuesday ahead of a meeting of alliance's foreign ministers. Rutte told reporters that strengthened NATO's military support will allow Ukraine to have a stronger hand at the negotiating table. According to Rutte, NATO would also step up intelligence sharing and improve the protection of critical infrastructure in the face of Russia's hostile acts of sabotage against allies.
Ukraine is entering another crucial winter, and Russia's aggression shows no sign of abating. Just the opposite. Putin is ramping up his rhetoric and reckless actions. He is using Ukraine as a testing ground for experimental missiles and is deploying North Korean soldiers in this illegal war. But we will all need to do more, especially now. The stronger our military support to Ukraine is now, the stronger their hand will be at the negotiating table. And the sooner we can end Russian aggression once and for all in Ukraine. Tomorrow, ministers will address Russia's hostile actions in NATO countries.
Hundreds of Catholic devotees climbed Guatemala's volcano, Volcan do Agua, in a procession to return the statue of Christ of a height to its chapel in the volcano's crater. The faithful, mostly residents of a town at the volcano's base, began their ascent carrying the statue on the shoulders of the steep slopes. Community volunteers took turns bearing the statue, expressing gratitude for blessings they attribute to the Christ of a height. Every year, locals from neighboring communities visit the chapel, where the Christ of a height statue has stood for 48 years, seeking rain, bountiful harvest, and help with personal troubles. Statue was temporarily removed for restoration in July this year due to its deteriorating condition. U.S. President Joe Biden landed in Angola on Monday for a visit focused on a U.S.-backed railway project on the legacy of slavery. But his decision to pardon his son, Hunter Biden, threatened to overshadow the official agenda. The visit fulfills a promise to visit sub-Saharan Africa during his presidency and aims to bolster the Lobito Corridor project with links resource-rich Democratic Republic of Congo and Zambia to the Angolan port of Lobito on the Atlantic Ocean. Partly funded by a U.S. loan, Lobito Corridor will make it faster and easier to export critical minerals towards the United States, which has been widely seen as a way to divert some of those resources from China. At stake are vast supplies of minerals like copper and cobalt, which are found in Congo and a key component of batteries and other electronics. China is a top player in Congo, which has become an increasing concern to Washington. In his two-day visit to Angola, Biden is scheduled to meet with President João Lourenço and the Zambian leader, President Akande Hichilema, and to tour the National Slavery Museum and various facilities in Lobito. Biden's national security spokesperson, John Kirby, said Biden would unveil additional commitments to the project during his visit, as well as to health, climate, and clean energy programs. While Biden's trip is taking place in the waning days of his presidency, Donald Trump will likely back the railway and remain a close partner to Angola when he returns to the White House in January, according to two officials who served under the previous Trump administration. First Lady Jill Biden unveiled the White House holiday decorations on Monday with this year's theme, A Season of Peace and Light. Biden thanked the volunteers from across the country who helped decorate the White House. As part of her Joining Forces initiative to support military families, First Lady invited National Guard families to be the first members of the public to experience the White House holiday decor.
It's been the honor of our lives to serve as your first family. May our nation be blessed with peace and light this holiday season. Merry Christmas, happy holidays. We love you all. Thank you.
The White House expects nearly 100,000 people to visit during the holiday season. There are 83 Christmas trees adorning the White House, 9,810 feet of ribbon, more than 28,125 ornaments, and more than 2,200 hand-cut paper piece doves used to decorate the White House. Qatar's Emir Sheikh Tamim bin Hamad Al Thani arrived in Britain on Monday for a two-day state visit hosted by King Charles, and during which it would also meet Prime Minister Keir Starmer, who is seeking deeper ties with the wealthy Gulf states. The Emir was joined by his wife, Sheikh Jawahab bin Hamad bin Suhaim Al Thani. According to Qatar's news agency, the Emir is traveling with an official delegation and the country's Prime Minister and Foreign Minister, Sheikh Mohammed bin Abdulrahman Al Thani. The state visit formally begins on Tuesday and comes as Britain's Labour government, in power since July, searches for co-investors to help fund its plan for new infrastructure, including cleaner energy systems. French Prime Minister Michel Barnier said on Monday it will try to ram a social security bill through Parliament without a vote, leaving him more vulnerable than ever to being toppled in a no-confidence vote by far-right and leftist rivals. If the last-minute concession was not enough to win support from a far-right national rally, Barnier decided to invoke Article 49(3) of the Constitution to push through the bill without Parliament. Opposition parties had warned that this would lead them to put forward a motion of no confidence on Barnier's government. The opposition now has 24 hours to table a no confidence motion. The vote could take place as early as Wednesday. No French government has been forced out by such a vote since 1962. Barnier's struggles to get the 2025 budget through a deeply divided parliament threatened to plunge France into its second political crisis in 6 months, undermining the instability that has taken hold in capitals across the EU. Since its constitution in September, Barnier's minority government has relied on RN support for its survival. The budget bill, which seeks to rein in France's spiraling public debt through 60 billion euros in tax hikes and spending cuts, may snap that tenuous link. Georgia's president, locked in a standoff with her own government, said in an interview with Reuters on Monday the only way out of the crisis was a rerun of last month's disputed parliamentary elections. President Salome Zurabišvili spoke after a fortnight of clashes between protesters and police as a result of the governing Georgian Dream Party announcement last week that it was suspending talks on joining the European Union. Critics saw that as a confirmation of a Russian influence shift away from pro-Western policies and back towards Moscow's orbit, something the ruling party denies. Zurabišvili, whose powers are merely ceremonial, said Russia, already at war in Ukraine, was conducting a hybrid strategy against Georgia. Zurabišvili says she will not step down as president when her term expires this month, because the parliament that will select her successor was chosen in October elections that the opposition says were rigged. Election Commission says the vote was fair. Prime Minister Kubashid on Sunday said Zurabišvili was reacting emotionally to the opposition's election defeat and would have to leave the presidential palace at the end of the month.
It's everything but a revolution. This is a huge, I would say, national movement which has really spread both geographically over the whole country and in all spheres, all segments of the population, with civil disobedience, protests, all forms that we had not seen before, protesting the outrageous decision of a prime minister that was already contested because the elections were contested. So it's twice as outrageous when a government that is not considered legitimate by its population takes a 180% turn from where we stand towards the European integration, towards Russia.
As Prime Minister, Irakli Kubashide on Monday ruled out the possibility of talks between the government and the opposition, which has boycotted the parliament and backed street protest. Georgia's pro-EU president, who is locked in a standoff with our own government over the country's direction, appealed to European countries on Monday to confront what she described as a Russian attempt to impose control on our nation. German Chancellor Olaf Scholz announced new military aid as he came to wartime Kiev on a rare visit that he said sent a message to Russian President Vladimir Putin that Berlin would stand by Ukraine for as long as needed in the war. Scholz used the trip to announce further equipment deliveries worth 650 million euros to be delivered this month. Package includes Iris-T air defense system, Leopard 1 tanks and armed drones, a defense ministry spokesperson said. Zelensky told reporters at a joint news conference that Ukraine needed more air defenses to protect 24 special sites. Scholz's trip is first to Kiev since the early months of Russia's 2022 invasion, comes ahead of Donald Trump's return to the White House and weeks after Scholz's coalition collapse, threatening his future as chancellor. Political upheaval in Europe's biggest economy adds to a growing feeling of uncertainty in Ukraine, with Russian troops advancing ever faster in the east. It is unclear how much Kiev's European allies can step up support for Ukraine if Trump cuts back help from the United States, Kiev's most powerful ally. A number of migrants who have reached Spain's Canary Islands on precarious vessels departing from West Africa has hit an all-time annual record with 41,425 arrivals between January 1 and November 30 of this year, Interior Ministry data showed on Monday. The Canaries, an archipelago of 7 islands of northwestern Africa's Atlantic coast, are struggling to absorb the surge in irregular migrants arriving on crammed, open-top boats seeking better opportunities in Europe. With 1 month of 2024 still pending, this is the second year in a row that the islands turned into Europe's front line in a struggle to curb irregular migration, has seen a record number of arrivals. Mali, Senegal and Morocco are the top 3 nationalities of the migrants reaching the Canaries, according to the latest data from the European Union's border agency, Frontex. Seeking to revert the trend, Spain has asked Frontex to resume an air and maritime surveillance operation that had ended in 2018 in Mauritania, Senegal, and Gambia. The former U.S. Marine sergeant who fatally strangled Jordan Neely, a homeless man, in a New York City subway car, arrived in court on Monday for the start of closing arguments. Daniel Penny said he never intended to kill Neely, a 30-year-old homeless man with a history of mental illness, during an encounter in an uptown train on May 1, 2023. Penny did not testify during the trial on charges of manslaughter in the second degree and criminally negligent homicide, which began in October. Prosecutors from the Manhattan District Attorney's Office did not dispute that Neely was loud, angry, and threatening as he boarded the train, shouting that he was hungry, thirsty, and wanted to be sent back to jail. But he told jurors that Penny, who grabbed Neely from behind with an arm around Neely's neck and brought him to the floor, used deadly physical force without justification and for far longer than necessary. Penny continued to choke Neely on the floor of a subway car for nearly 6 minutes after the train pulled into the station and all the passengers left the car. Penny maintained the chokehold even after Neely felt unconscious. Penny's defense lawyers told jurors that Penny, a student on his way to the gym, acted out of alarm that Neely might hurt a woman and a child he was approaching. Neely was unarmed. The killing gained widespread public attention, with some viewing Neely, who was black, as a victim of a white vigilante. Others, including some Republican politicians, called Penny a hero. Turkish President Tayyip Erdogan said on Monday that he hoped the instability in Syria will be concluded with an agreement in line with the demands of the Syrian people. Speaking at a press conference, Erdogan also said Ankara was closely monitoring developments in neighboring Syria and taking necessary measures to prevent harm to Turkey's security. Residents in a town of Tumpat, North Kelantan, returned to submerged homes and shops on Monday as one of the worst floods in decades began receding in some areas in Malaysia. Flooding buildings and upturned cars could be seen as residents surveyed the damage and began the clean I don't up. Malaysia faces a second wave of heavy rains and potential flooding this week, authorities said on Monday. Since last week, 27 people have died and more than 500,000 households in the neighboring Southeast Asian countries have been hit by torrential rain and flooding, the authorities says have been the most severe in years. Immediate situation has improved in some areas. Water levels have eased according to government data on Monday. The number of people in evacuation shelters dropped to around 128,000 people from 152,000 on Sunday, according to the Disaster Management Agency. Malaysian Meteorological Department on Monday forecast a wind convergence in the worst heat states of Kelantan and Terengganu from 3rd December to 4th, which is said will potentially bring thunderstorms and heavy rains during the period. The floods have destroyed homes, led to suspension of rail links, and left businesses and farmers reeling, with more than 38,000 hectares of paddy fields damaged in major rice-producing areas in Malaysia. Still to come, Romanian top court upholds presidential election first-round result. UK Starmer concedes peace talks may end Ukraine war. Details in a moment.
We are local.
We are right now with the wife of the man that was.
Why the main market is in chaos. People are...
We are national.
Those in support of this motion as amended, say aye. Aye.
We have taken the vote by default.
We are international.
It's Donald Trump left us the worst unemployment.
Signature TV, news in your pocket.
Landslide triggered by rains brought by Cyclone Fengal killed at least 7 people in a village in southern India's Tamil Nadu, local residents said on Tuesday. According to local media reports quoting Tiruvannamalai district authorities, this landslide occurred on Sunday. 7 people, which included several children, were all from the same family, local media reported. The cyclone crossed the southern coast from the Bay of Bengal and brought gusty winds and heavy rainfall to the region on Saturday. Data from the Disaster Management Center in Colombo showed in neighboring Sri Lanka that at least 16 people were killed, with heavy rains affected a total of 138,944 families.
Other than the 7 people who died in the landslide, everyone else has been rescued and taken to the safe places. We never expected this kind of landslide, it occurred so suddenly. The relief team rescued everyone. The landslide occurred suddenly, and we didn't know what to do. Rocks and mud started pouring inside my house. I was sleeping when the floodwater rushed into my house. A person grabbed me out of the house and saved my life.
Israel's military said on Monday that an American-born Israeli soldier believed to have been taken hostage during the Hamas October 7, 2023 attacks had in fact been killed during the attacks, and his body had been held in Gaza ever since. Omar Nitra was born and raised in the United States and served in Israel's military as a tank commander during the October 7 attack, in which Hamas-led fighters stormed Israeli communities, killing 1,200 people and abducting more than 250 hostages, according to Israeli tallies. Israel's military campaign against Hamas has killed more than 44,400 Palestinians and displaced most of the population. Gaza officials say vast swaths of the enclave lie in ruins. Israeli leaders, including Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu and President Isaac Herzog, offered their condolences to the Nitra family and vowed to return his body, along with other remaining hostages from Gaza. U.S. President Joe Biden also issued a statement eulogizing Nitra and highlighted his dedication to building peace. Around half of the 101 foreign and Israeli hostages still held incommunicado in Gaza are believed to be alive. Dozens of volunteers and Hezbollah scouts gathered on Monday in Beirut's southern suburbs to remove debris and clean up the streets. Young volunteers used brooms and their own hands to remove rubble after Israeli strike caused severe damage to buildings and stores in the area during hostilities between Hezbollah and Israel. Hezbollah said it carried out a defensive warning strike on an Israeli military position in the disputed Sheba Farms area on Monday, citing what it called repeated Israeli ceasefire violations, including airstrikes and shelling in Lebanon. Israeli military said the Hezbollah strike consisted of 2 missiles and caused no casualties. Earlier, Lebanon's state-run national news agency, NNA, said Israeli forces fired 2 artillery shells towards the southern Lebanese town of Beit Lif in Bin Jebel district, while heavy machine gun fire targeted Yaron. No injuries were reported in either incident, NNA added. Syrian rebel fighters began preparations to seize Aleppo a year ago, but the operation was delayed by war in Gaza and ultimately launched last week when a ceasefire took hold in Lebanon, the head of Syria's main opposition abroad told Reuters on Monday. Insurgents were able to seize the city and parts of neighboring Idlib province so quickly in part because Hezbollah and other Iran-backed fighters were distracted by the conflict with Israel, Hadi al-Bara said in an interview on Monday. Turkish military, which is allied with some of the insurgents and has bases across its southern borders in Syria, ahead of the armed group's plans, but made clear it will play no direct role, he said. The assault in northwestern Syria was launched last Wednesday, the day that Israel and Lebanese armed group Hezbollah began a truce in more than a year of fighting.
A year ago, they started really training and mobilizing and taking it more seriously. And it was supposed to happen, according. If you ask any kid in the, in the area in Azaz or in Jarablus, ask him, he'll tell you, yeah, we are going to go and free Aleppo. And this is like 6 months ago. But the operation was delayed to the crisis in the area, and especially at the end due to the Lebanese, the Israeli-Lebanese war, where the people and commanders on the ground, they saw it's not good to have it while there is a war in Lebanon. So the moment there were a ceasefire in Lebanon, they found that the opportunity is good for them to start.
The rebel operation is the boldest advance and biggest challenge to Syrian President Bashar al-Assad in years, in a civil war where front lines had largely remained frozen since 2020. Syrian and allied Russian forces have launched counterattacks, which barracks said are destabilizing Aleppo and Idlib and pose the biggest risk to civilians, given the earlier rebel advances had sought carefully to avoid such casualties. Romania's Constitutional Court on Monday validated the shock first-round result in the country's presidential election, setting the stage for a run-up vote on December 8 that could upend its pro-Western orientation and undermine backing for Ukraine. The ruling clears the uncertainty that has hung over the nation since the court demanded a vote recount last week after November 24 victory of little-known far-right candidate Karlin Georgescu raised suspicions of outside meddling in the electoral process of a country that has been a staunch ally of Ukraine. Georgescu will now face center-right contender Elena Lasconi in December 8 runoff. On Sunday, Romania held a parliamentary election with the ruling leftist Social Democratic Party, PSD leading, but far-right parties gaining a third of seats in the new legislature. Presidential race is consequential for the formation of a new government, so the president designates a prime minister from a parliamentary majority. NASA astronauts Suni Williams and Barry Wilmore, the first crew to fly Boeing Starliner spacecraft in June, will mark 6 months in space on the 5th of December. Originally scheduled for a brief mission, the astronauts remained aboard the International Space Station IAS after technical issues forced Starliner to return to Earth unmanned. Spacecraft landed safely in New Mexico on September 6. Now set to last 8 months, the mission will conclude with a return aboard a SpaceX vehicle in February 2025. The extended mission followed critical issues during the approach to ISS in June, when 5 of Starliner's 28 maneuvering thrusters failed, and the propulsion system experienced helium leaks used for pressurization. Despite these setbacks, Williams and Wilmore credited the training for helping them adapt to the unexpected delay, though they admitted disappointment over missing planned time with their families.
NASA has decided that Butch and Sonny will return with Crew 9 next February, and that Starliner will return uncrewed.
And I think, from a human perspective, all of us feel happy about the successful landing, but then there's a piece of us, all of us, that we wish it would have been the way we had planned it. We had planned to have the mission land with Butch and Sonny on board. I think there's, depending on who you are on the team, different emotions associated with that.
For Steve Stitch, if a crew had been on board the spacecraft tonight, would anything have...
Obviously, when you have an issues like we've had, there's some changes that need to be made. Boeing's on board with that. We're all on board with that. And I can tell you, when you push the edge of the envelope again and you do things with spacecraft that have never been done before, just like Starliner, you're going to find some things. And in this case, we found some things that we just could not get comfortable with putting us back in the Starliner when we had other options.
welcome to the International Space Station. And Nick, welcome back home to the International Space Station. It's great to be here with bringing the 72 back up to 11. Greetings from the International Space Station. Our crew up here just wanted to say happy Thanksgiving to all our friends and family who are down on Earth and everyone who is supporting us.
In the meantime, Boeing engineers have implemented software updates to Starliner, enabling it to operate without a crew. The spacecraft's unmanned return was a crucial test of its maneuvering capabilities, paving the way for future missions. British Prime Minister Keir Starmer said on Monday that stepping up support for Ukraine was essential to putting the country in the strongest position for peace talks, as he considered in the clearest terms that there could be a negotiated end to the war. Starmer stressed the importance of continued Western support to Ukraine and warned a Russian victory in Ukraine would threaten Europe's security, stability and prosperity, particularly because it could embolden Russia's allies. Starmer's comments came at a crucial moment in the war with Russia, advancing at its fastest rate since 2022, and the US President-elect Donald Trump was deeply skeptical of US support for Ukraine, promising to end the war quickly after it's inaugurated on January 20. Britain has been one of Ukraine's most vocal supporters since the start of the invasion by Russia in 2022 and was the first country to supply more sophisticated weapons to Ukraine, including battle tanks and long-range cruise missiles. According to a British government official, this was the clearest language Starmer, who was elected Prime Minister in July, has used about the war with Russia, ended in a negotiated settlement. Starmer also addressed escalation in Syria and urged the country's leaders to work towards a political solution to stop the fighting.
A horrific reminder that Ukraine is on the front line of freedom. And let's be clear, the future of freedom in Europe is being decided today. We face a near and present danger, with Russia as an erratic, increasingly desperate aggressor on our continent, marshalling all its resources, along with North Korean troops and Iranian missiles, aiming to kill and to conquer. So there's no question, it's right that we support Ukraine. But we must be clear that it's also deeply in our own self-interest to do so. I'd encourage everyone here to stop and think for a moment what it would mean to us, to our continent, to the world, if Russia wins. What would it mean for our values, for democracy, commerce?
Al-Sadd claimed a 2-1 win away to Al Nassr in the Asian Champions League on Monday. Two-time Asian Player of the Year Akram Afif broke through the Al Nassr defence to put the visitors ahead in the 53rd minute before an own goal from Morocco international defender Romain Saz saw Al Nassr equalise 10 minutes from full-time. Afif proved a handful for the Al Nassr defence once again, however winning a penalty late into stoppage time, which was dispatched by Algeria's Adam Onas to send all 3 points back to Qatar. Having already ensured their qualification for the knockout stage in the last round of the matches, Al Nassr opted to rest 39-year-old captain Cristiano Ronaldo. Result is Al Nassr's first loss of the campaign, but remain in third place on 13 points, with Al-Sadd climbed up into fourth on 12. And that's the news this hour. Thank you for watching. I am Barry Kumo Ado.
Good morning and welcome to another exciting moment on Signature Morning, Signature TV. This Monday, December 2, 2024, and is a day that holds special significance because we're celebrating the International Day for the Abolition of Slavery in everywhere, all right? And you know how we do it, we're bringing you, we're exploring the latest in the news, headlines, newspaper reviews, and engaging discussions lined up for you this morning. My name is Belinda Mwobodo.
My name is Charles Pius, and speaking of slavery, I mean, when you mention slavery, I'm sure that everyone talks about what had happened in the, long time ago with the Europeans and Americans coming into Africa and taking our people and then enslaving them and making them do menial jobs and make them do all of those bad duties and jobs against their will, dehumanizing them. But there's another slavery that I actually want to talk about, which is the slavery that exists in our homes. We have people who we call our maids. How do you treat those people? Do you send them to the same school that you send your own kids? How much of rights and that they actually have under your care? We speak about this slavery like it's very far away from us. We think of the European slavery, but we have these things happen around us. How much do you take care of people who have been given you to take care of within your home? How much of that do you do? Look at that from that perspective, and let's see if we can make the world a better place. Welcome, everybody. It's the 2nd of December. Let's go straight into the headlines on our dailies. Good morning.
Let's begin with the Nigerian Tribune this morning. We have in the screaming headline, tax reform bills. Confusion in House of Reps as APC caucus aborts fixed meeting with the Ryder Clerk announces suspension of plenary on proposed legislation. Why Southern lawmakers are divided. APC NWC keeps mute on lawmakers. That's on the Nigerian Tribune.
Long-lasting injectable HIV prevention drugs set for rollout in Nigeria. Would you take it? Be careful now.
10,000 jobs at risk as seaports concession agreement renewal stalls.
Underworkers would receive minimum wage next week, says NLC, with the rider urging workers to begin strike today.
Ekiti governor floats company to buy store agri products from farmers.
Tax reforms. Fiscal policy must not strengthen some states, punish others, says Atiku.
IPPIS, federal government orders investigation into alleged deductions from NARCOS, NSCDC personnel salaries.
Obasanjo thanks Gowon, says I wasn't aware he wrote Abacha for my release.
Let's move ahead to the Punch newspapers. Tax reform again. Reps suspend debate indefinitely as Northern governors mount pressure. 72 lawyers, Zulum, Tambua reject bills. APC slams critics as Northern group protests.
Port Harcourt refinery, low-key operation begins. Market to suppose 1,030 naira per litre.
Minimum wage. Strike begins in 5 states. FCT as panel meets.
Swiss cement maker sells $1 billion stake in Lafarge.
How Obasanjo rejected single-term presidency, says Olanipekun.
Mother, 2 children killed as arsonists set family ablaze in Lagos.
Moving ahead to the Blueprint newspapers, bandits on revenge mission suffer casualties in Zamfara. Troops destroy hideouts, recover ammunition in Taraba.
Serap questions AGF, Edum, over 167 billion naira contracts from 31 ministries.
Kaduna begins payment of 72,000 naira minimum wage.
Tinubu's tax reform bills will eliminate double taxation, says Ohaneze with the rider. Atiku calls for transparency and objectivity.
Federal government raises loan for MSMEs to $5 million at 9%.
2 million processed cards uncollected by those who are supposed to collect them, though.
CBN to retire 1,000 offers 50 billion naira payoff. They are offering me 97 million naira for 4-year service. 17 sacked directors yet to be replaced. That's on the Daily Trust.
Still on the Daily Trust this morning, 2027, Atiku Obi's Pali in Yola reignites major permutations.
Federal government begins malaria vaccination for children today. This is indeed a great move.
All right. Still on the Daily Trust, minimum wage states race to beat NLC deadline.
Okay. To the Guardian newspapers, Labour begins nationwide strike, cite empty promises by governors.
Atiku Zulum lead northern opposition against tax bills ahead of National Assembly debate.
2027 splinter APC group moves to register with INEC.
Government mom as poly lecturers begin strike today.
Groups demand regionalization, parliamentary system, new name for Nigeria.
Name contractors that disappeared with MDAs, 167 billion naira, Serap tells Tinubu.
Judiciary graft, abuse of power diminish public confidence, says AGF.
I never knew Gowon saved me from Abacha, Obasanjo says.
All right, let's take a look at the Daily Times newspapers. SEC assures investors of fund safety amid fintech growth.
Why Nigeria is underdeveloped, says Primate Ndokoba. Find out the details on the Daily Times, where the writer says Nigeria is instrumental in transforming our continent.
Tinubu Ramaphosa to co-chair 11th Binational Commission.
Atiku urges National Assembly to ensure transparency, objectivity in conducting public hearing.
Obasanjo tasked Plateau residents on unity, love.
Rate of accidents on newly repaired Third Mainland Bridge worries federal government. All the details you can find on the Daily Times. And now we have the Matrix. On the Matrix this morning, again, Tinubu boasts, says economic reforms yielding results. When the writer reveals Nigerians lived fake good life before fuel subsidy removal.
Fresh uproar greets Tinubu's tax reform bills. With the rider, ensure tax reform bills promote equity, justice. Atiku tells National Assembly, don't enhance status of few states while unduly penalizing others. Lagos State will be primary beneficiary of policy. Zulum kicks.
Jonathan crowns Fubara as Rivers political general.
Why many artists are not connecting with fans, says Tiwa Savage.
Okay. Thank you for asking Abacha to spare my life. Obasanjo replies, go on.
How exploitative practices landed MTN GTB Airpace in FCCPC's trouble. Heavy sanctions loom.
All the details you can find on the Matrix. And as a matter of fact, in sports, slick Liverpool compound Man City's woes. Man U, Chelsea win. That's on page 22, just in case you were interested in the sports updates this morning. All right, join us after this short break to stay with us for the reviews this morning.
welcome back. We're still glad to have you stay with us right here on Signature Morning. We'll be taking a look at the newspapers, screaming headlines on the newspapers this morning. Just on the Daily Trust, federal government has begun malaria vaccination for children today, and I personally, Charles, I think this is a welcome development, looking at all the back and forth that's been going on in the government this period, and federal government beginning vaccination is a long expected thing that Nigerians have been looking forward to. And what do you think about this? Anyways?
I mean, it's a good thing. It's a good thing to the extent of how clean our environment is. You know, if you look at how malarias are actually contracted, if you live in a very, very poorly kept environment, you know, mosquitoes can breed in those environments, unkept places within your home, around your home. You can actually breed mosquitoes, and mosquitoes are actually what causes malaria. But beyond that, I know that countries that have done something spectacularly great, there are some countries that malaria don't exist. In countries like UK, USA, you know, European countries most, you don't see malaria. There's nothing called malaria, you know, because they have taken care of the environment. In fact, there was...
They've put a stop.
Yeah, there was something that I was reading some few weeks back about how countries, especially the developed countries, take care of, you know, malaria and their environment. What they do is that they fly helicopter around the environment and they disinfect the air. More like from the helicopter, they spray something,
right,
and so the environment, you know, becomes inconducive for mosquitoes around and other things that causes some of these diseases, you know. So I don't know why we're not doing that. Vaccination is good, but then if your environment is not good, you're going to fall short of that. It's just a matter of time before you fall short of that.
We've not seen the federal government done something like air vaccination before or air disinfectant before, but I think looking at Nigeria and the names we are being termed on a daily basis on about that we are corrupt people, the Nigerian politicians or Nigerian government, you know, are not really doing enough. But I think this is a good thing, a good development to start with. Let's begin from somewhere, and then hopefully we're going to reach to the points where they're going to come and do that particular one. So kudos to Nigeria. I mean, this is something that they should have been doing for a long time now.
Right. Go ahead and take the vaccination, but then take care of your environment. It is from your environment that these mosquitoes, grow, and then they come attacking your homes. All right, so we're moving to something else, which is the tax reform bill. So there's a whole lot that have been said about this tax reform bill. I saw a message by the former Vice President Atiku Abubakar only yesterday, stating that he wanted transparency, and you could tell his sentiments from his tweet. So the tax reform bill for me is coming with some sort of mixed feelings. Mixed feelings in the sense that it means that those who pay more money to the center, this is how it works. Let me just give you a little background, maybe if I can summarize it in 1 or 2 minutes. So states actually make revenue, and these revenues are sent to the federal government. The federal government now shares these monies according to different cadres and different levels. So in summary is that when this money is coming from states to the federal government now shares these monies back to the states. That's what it comes off as allocation, monthly allocations to states. That's what state governments go to Abuja to collect, like whatever you hear that federal allocation to states, that's what you hear. It's paid every month. And so states uses this monies to take care of the business, pay salaries, do jobs and all of those things. Now, what exists right now is that no matter how much a state pays in, say for instance, a state like Lagos and say Zamfara, Lagos, of course, you know how huge Lagos is. The revenue that the federal government makes, or the tax that that Lagos State pays to the federal government, is not the same thing that Zamfara pays to the federal government. And so when the money comes as one, you know, the monies is actually shared equally. So what this tax reform bill is doing is that instead of the monies to be shared equally, it will be shared according to the amount of monies that states have contributed to the federal allocation. And so because northern states are not very productive, they contribute the least, in fact, let me put it plain. Northern states contribute the least to the federation account. They are saying that the tax reform bill is skewed against them. But then on the flip side, there's this argument that if this tax reform bill scales through, it will make states to be viable. They will start looking inwards to create more things, to be able to pay high taxes to the government so that they can earn more. But it looks like the states in the north are not in for it. I mean, there's a broader sense to all of these discussions, because again, many people think that in Zamfara State, for instance, we know that Zamfara has gold, and the people who mine gold in Zamfara today are non-state actors. These monies are enter, you know, people who, local authorities who allow these things happen. Sometimes you even see and hear connivance from local authorities, the village heads, you know, to allow these monies to happen. And because you can imagine that somebody comes into your community and you can't do anything about it. Some have even linked to government individuals, people who are in government, who allow this money to happen. And when they sell these gold, the monies go to the pockets of individuals within either the community or the government circle who allow these things to happen. And so the government is saying, if this tax reform bill happen, the government of the state or the local authority will be forced to actually, you know, sell this gold, make this particular resource to be captured into the system, so that when monies are made from selling of this gold, these monies can actually be captured so that the sharing will be more for a state like Zamfara State. And the other argument will be like, look, I cannot be in the southern part of Nigeria with my oil. You are tilting my soil and spilling my soil and contaminating my soil and doing all sorts of things. And then I contribute most of the money to the federation account. And then you are giving me the same thing that Zamfara State, who is contributing little, you know, to be the same thing. So that's the reason why northern governors are actually very sad about this, because really they don't want to work, and it does look like they want to continue with the laziness that comes with it.
Well, another question is, and I'm just wondering, how could this reform lead to more centralized, you know, economic activities in those areas that you mentioned? You talked about the Zamfara and, of course, the Lagos State. But another question is, what role do you think that this particular reform is going to cost, or it's going to play in terms of the political dynamics between the federal government and the people, the residents in those states? Are they, how are they going to see the government playing this particular role? That's another question, and that's another area that I think the federal government has to put, you know, mind into definitely looking at what the outcome, how this thing is going to affect how people see the government and how they interact with each other. But in my own opinion, I think they should critically look into the reform and then let it be duly distributed according to what you are, you know, remitting or contributing to the government.
Yes, I mean, I think it was Borno State Governor that says that it will affect states like the Southeast, you know, and even the most northern states, because they don't really contribute much. More. That Lagos is going to gain more. And
probably Ogun State.
Yeah, those states that contribute more, they're going to get more, and then maybe oil-producing states that actually also contribute more. Rivers, Delta.
ENUGU produce coal.
Well, the coal, we would ask to what extent is that even captured in the scheme of things, you know. we don't mine coal. The people who mine coal are actually private bodies. You don't see governments that, because it's in an exclusive.
Involved,
yes,
yeah.
it's because it's in exclusive legislative list. You know, it's difficult for states to even get involved into mining of coal, or even negotiating with private bodies to come and mine coal. So it's government that allows some of these businesses to take place in our environment. But I thought that the state governments should take control of whatever resource that's within their territory, so that they'll be able to contribute more to the federal government. So that's the reason why the Northerners are very disheartening about this particular reform bill, and they're saying that they're going to reject it when it comes up in the National Assembly.
The Southern governors, do you think they have come out to say anything about how this is going to affect?
They like it. I mean, Southern governors like it. I mean, they like it because they know they are contributing more. Lagos, for instance, would say nothing about it because more monies are going to come into the states.
Southeast, to be precise.
Southeast, well, you could say at least Southeast is a lot better than North, you know.
So they are good.
The Southeast is better than North. I mean, go and look at the amount of monies that is even made as IGR in Zamfara State, in Kebbi State, in places like even places like Kaduna. You know, you could say that not as much as you would expect from a state that is busy and
like
Anambra and the like. So I mean, there's no southern governor that has spoken about it, meaning they don't really give it a thought. But Northerners are actually really saddened about it, and they feel that that particular tax reform bill is going to be skewed against them because they are contributing less to the purse.
Port Harcourt Refinery. Low-key operation begins, and marketers are opposing the 1,013 naira per litre. What do you have to say about this?
Well, I mean, Port Harcourt Refineries is still under very huge controversy. We heard a few days ago that they have come on board. I mean, it's working. And I'm so shocked that a few days after we heard that the place is locked up. First of all, for the amounts, if NMPC, if Dangote is telling you he's selling to marketers at 970, and then the end producers or the end users get the price at 1,080, 1,100, 1,130, as the case may be, depending on where you are buying from. Why is Port Harcourt Refinery selling to marketers at 1,045? I mean,
it is not even fixed, because some newspapers are saying 1,045 naira per litre, others are saying 1,013 naira per litre. So we don't really know which one to follow. It's up to them.
Yeah, but it's not supposed to be so. I mean, this is NMPC. This is you are the owner of the crude. You are the owner of the refinery. You are not like a Dangote who's privatized, who is selling to make profit, so to speak. So I'm wondering why you are selling at that price when Dangote is selling at 970. I think it's about time that we look into privatizing the Port Harcourt Refinery, because that's the only way we can actually get the full value. So many persons said that the Port Harcourt Refinery didn't really come on stream. It's just that they blended some crude and got fuel to a few tankers just to show off that, oh, they've started, whereas they haven't really started anything.
It is actually getting interesting, because I expect to see more refineries coming out, especially on the private sector, because if there is the competitiveness of refining crude in Nigeria, I think that would deregulate the market, and everyone would have to, you know what I say to your tent, oh Israel, you go get your fuel or your petrol wherever you deem right. So, well, we are still looking forward to know what is going to come out from this Port Harcourt Refinery. NNPCL has not come out to say anything concerning this particular amount and what the marketers are probing. But we'll keep you abreast with the news as it drops.
All right. Some other developments. Jonathan crowns Fubara as Rivers political general. I'm sure it's not far from what he has been able to do in the last few months. Fubara, of course, one of the fantastic individuals when it comes to politics, given that beyond the former president giving him that name, we have seen Bauchi State Governor also stating clearly that this is the first time he's seeing a thing like this, and he hasn't seen a thing like this. And he was also scared that Fubara would fall like a pack of cards, but he didn't know that Fubara had some sort of planning against the political bigwig that is in Abuja. So many persons are looking at Fubara and saying, this is a fearless guy. This is a guy that we thought that was looks a little bit quiet, you know, facially.
Reserved, yeah.
But in politics, it's not about what you see. I mean, his looks, you know, is different from what he can actually do. So with a guy who has that enormous power, the strength of Rivers State, with the power of the governor and the support coming from within, you can tell that he's ready to, you know, stand any form of power tussle thrown at him. You know, it's quite fantastic given what he has said.
Some people believe that the FCT minister has lost his glory. I don't know what you think about this. Do you think power is changing hand? Because looking at Fubara, a lot of people are looking up to him. A lot of people are talking about him. A lot of people are applauding him. His strength, his resilience, you know, his ability to play the game. He knows the game and he's playing it, and he's playing it fearlessly. So a lot of people are beginning to worry that the FCT minister is going to lose his glory very soon. The political aura, you know, on the whole power tussle aura is going to leave. You know who I'm talking about.
Yeah, everybody's talking about the 2027 general elections. Again, Rivers State is quite strategic in terms of numbers, in terms of resources, in terms of monies. You know, in the United States, it's called a swing state. If you want to put it side by side with what's going on in the U.S., Rivers State is like one of the swing states. If you don't win it, then it's going to be a doom for you. He won even in controversial circumstances. I'm talking about ENUGU winning that with the governor Wike helping him do that. But on a larger scale, we tend to talk about how godfatherism in Nigeria has killed our politics. We've seen these kinds of things happen even in Edo State, where godfathers decide and want to tell their proteges, those who have it installed in power, they want to strangulate them, they want to take them out, they want to tell them what to do even while they're not there. And just so it's just a matter of time. I mean, the only person we've seen that have done that and succeeded is the current president while he was in Lagos State. Since he left the state in 2007, he has always had his way around who takes over from the other person. Whoever he doesn't want to take over, you know, actually decides, he decides whom and who takes over power. And so he has a grip over Lagos politics. So that's the only person in the Nigerian circle, a political circle, that has done that and done that really, really well. But in Rivers, in other states, Imo, and several other places, it hasn't worked because the dynamics are different. And until Wike knows that the dynamics of Rivers has changed completely and he just has to play by the rules and play by the books, I'm sure that he's now seeing that he's beginning to be irrelevant in the scheme of things in Rivers State.
All right, interesting. We'll keep on talking about these things. And all right, well, let's take a look at other interesting things we have lined up for you this morning. But we'll be right back after this short break.
Our teachers and lecturers can be rightly called nation builder, through which their sacrifices mold our personalities, our character, in which great men have built our nation. Today, we are on the streets of Abuja to ask ordinary citizens how has the Nigerian teachers and lecturers contributed to nation building.
The teacher in this country should help us, teach us, inculcate in the students how to become a better citizen of Nigeria. All of us should not have this mentality that when I get to the given opportunity to rule, to do that, to be a leader, that we should have this mind of it's only me and my family, selfish heart. No. Nigeria can be better.
Lecturers are now taking money from students to give them mark. Some are sleeping with the students to give them certificate. This was not what was happening in the 60s and the 70s. But lecturers, they are not helping. They are not helping to mold the children. Every boy that leaves university now want to drive a jeep without working. You want to live big without working. That is not what we were taught when we were in school in those days. The situation now is going beyond. It's not only the lecturers, you have to blame the parents. Because the parents are leaving their worlds and their children for teachers to teach. Teacher will teach your child education. But morals is mostly from the parents. You cannot leave morals for the teacher alone. The teachers will contribute their own, but parents have a job. Because every parent now, they are struggling to look for money.
When we talk about education, when we talk about school system, is, the former Labour presidential candidate will always say moving our economy from consumption to production. And for me, it's not just talking about industry or manufacturing. It should span across both schools. School is into production. We are processing those students. And the fact is that those students are coming out to become somebody's employees tomorrow.
The teachers are trying. The teachers are very trying. It's not easy to teach you, even in your home, even in your working place. Being the great chairman, it was easy. Talk more of the person you stay with. Tomorrow, the student will come or the child will come tomorrow, and you say they need to know how to put these people in order to balance things up. The teachers, they are trying. They don't deserve any suffering at all.
We want quality education, like I said. It shouldn't be free. It should be paid for. But when we pay for them, it should be quality and quality field. So the lecturers are giving exactly what they have. And for me, there's no point you do not tell me that a lecturer has been lecturing for 20 years has not gone for retraining. I don't care what level of education you have, you need to be retrained. Same to Nigeria Union of Teachers, same to teachers and every aspect of profession. You should be retrained. For he who does not get retrained is left in the past. So if you have a knowledge that is 20 years old with you, it simply means you are teaching a 2024 child what was learned in 1980, which is not good enough. For me, people should be taught sustainability. If we want it, we should retrain our trainers.
For our lecturers, they're trying, but trust me, there are some things that still happen in the university, because you find out that some people that are not supposed to graduate are there, and there's you don't know how they came out. They just gave them, let my people go. We know this thing, so let's advise ourselves for everybody to sit up here.
If ASU can be giving all the lecturer teachers attractive salary, give them accommodation, 2-bedroom, 3-bedroom, 4-bedroom in their school compound, they would to have rest mind to teach Nigerian students how to get to be good citizens. But if the lecturer, the teachers, they have bad welfare, they cannot eat, they cannot drink, some self they don't have where to sleep. So how would they have rest of mind to teach you leader you are expecting knowledge that will make them give you people good governance and sustainable level? So it's a nasty situation in this country.
That's the opinion of ordinary Nigerians from the voices of the streets. From the nation's capital, Abuja, I am Nasiru Usman, reporting for Signature TV News.
Senior saw all the ambitions. Like, we came here to come and extract and rob these people. Why are you studying it? We go rapid fire. So nothing was done for quite a few years until 1926. Amory Talbot's Peoples of Southern Nigeria was published. And of course, the very famous G.T. Baston, Among the Evils, which provided a bit of an insight. But then all of these works had one flaw. They were written by 4 outsiders who had a very subjective view of who we were. And not just that they had a subjective view, and a very cynical subjective view. And the language, you cannot come to the land, spend even 10 years and take to understand. The Igbos are heterogeneous culturally heterogeneous by nature. As I was talking to the children earlier today, we make the mistake of sometimes saying, all this is an Igbo. Hold on, sir. Where an Igbo? Where is this done? Cultures can vary across an area. In Ogosi time, we have to influence the difference of Ojoto and Igbo is Now, the Ezra Ogosi title, or Igbo Ogosi title as it became later, was brought in by Umezechima settlers who came just after the Ojoto settlers down the road where I'm from. But then eventually both cultures were less. But then they still maintain differences in approaches to cultural issues, even in that small, tiny space that I'm always. So you should understand, I think it is important for us as scholars of Igbo land to understand the heterogeneity of Igbo society. It is not a disadvantage. It is a very rich advantage because, as one of my young friends used to say, Igbo meaning, our culture means deep. But then we have to understand the nuances and respect them. Like I was having a conversation with some young, vibrant, my brothers. And I was saying, in that case, since Ogosi has this and you're not Igbos, I said, oh, okay, I forget that you are now the clearinghouse of who is Igbo and who is not. I said, okay, cool down. Calm down. You see, the thing with history is, you do not approach history, cultural history, with grammar. The best, that's why you just said, when I study this thing, they come with a childlike curiosity and they listen. They take notes carefully. That's why it's important for us to be nuanced and be very careful how we approach issues of studies without disrespecting our own people, their own indigenous peoples, and their various mixes of diversity. Please, you cannot impose male culture on Oba, or vice versa. You can't. Rather, you should understand how they are different and approach those differences accordingly and respectfully. But I digress. Now, my mentor, my father in this job, one of the greatest Igbo men, the great Professor Adiela Figo, who is my hero, and who is using. He was part of the Ibadan school, which was a reaction to the colonialist history. The Ibadan school was more nationalist. He said, no, we want to tell our story by ourselves. He was the first to obtain a PhD, an indigenous PhD in history. And his book, Rose of Sand, I'm sure many of you have read it, but please go back and read it. That's one of the most comprehensive, detailed, nuanced, and intelligent works on Igbo history. And why is it distinct? Because he acknowledges diversity, but then applies scientific approaches to his analysis and indeed his detailing. Please, if you can. Now, I mentioned his name because the anthropology and historiography of Central South Nigeria before and since were colored by the motivations of the author's principles and in turn influenced the broad historiography of the ensuing period. So that's exactly what I said. They were simply PR experts for Loja for the colonial governments. So whilst there were nuggets of information, we have to understand that those do not really represent the histories. And he described the studies as displaying the idiosyncratic waywardness of colonial anthropology, characterized by lack of focus, method, intensity, or concept. They looked at political systems because that was how they would manipulate. When you manipulate the political system, what do? You can manipulate economic systems. Simple. They weren't interested in our cultural nuances. They weren't. The person that went deep was Dr. Thomas. As soon as Lugar saw him, Lugar actually, you know, high-noon anthropological approach, which resulted in an emphasis on centralized political authority as being the ideal or apex model of political structure, influencing writers like Henderson, ENUGU, and Zero. Now, why do I say this? Because that high-noon anthropological structure, look, that there's an hierarchy of societies in terms of value, quality, and standing. That those that had kings were the more advanced societies. And those that had more decentralized systems, a king and a cabinet, were on another level. And those that had no kings, no discernible sovereign authority, but more like republican structures, were savages at the bottom of the ladder. That's what they said about us. Because most of people had, honestly, republican. Of course, we had bastions of monarchies. It was a theocracy. Western Igboland has lots of monarchies. But then, Oguta also had a monarchy. But then, the vast majority of Igboland before the colonials did not have monarchies. And this was perfectly fair. Because the Igbos always fashioned out functional models for their governance that suited them, suited their communities, suited their environment.
It looks like there was a song by an artist. It says that the monsters were made. It looks like something woke up in Igbo that wasn't dominantly part of their lives. And people wanted to survive. They stopped paying attention to how to do it in a way that will also give you something to tell. Going back to our topic. So, in shaping our history as an Igbo, do you think that the Civil War was a major distorting factor in that trajectory?
Thank you very much. I actually answered this question with the children earlier. It was. I think somebody asked me, what are the main events that influenced the course of Igbo history? See, before the Civil War, there's lots of flashpoints. The destruction of Arochukwu by the colonials. Colonel Banjo, or Brigadier Banjo, was our neighbor, top floor, and you were on the second floor. Right? When we ran from ENUGU, of course, we abandoned the Pontiac. For many years, I would ask my father, Daddy, we don't go carry a motor, or see which motor, I don't want to touch it, I don't want to see it. We didn't want to touch it because it had been commandeered by one soldier. So it's like, I don't even want to look at the car. I've met people at Asaba. A young man his father's house was trashed during the massacre. I asked him, can this fallow land in Asaba? He said, no, I will never build on this thing. I will never build on this place. And the man asked me, I was like, okay, well, Ross, this is millions of naira. The reality is that, as I said, lots of people die. Many people, every weekend I get Japanese. Every weekend I get Japanese. People who did not die during the war, but the traumatic effect of the war killed them slowly afterwards. And let's talk about lack of economic power. Okay. Look, we've had the 20 pounds issue, rehearsed by Muslim. I don't want to go into it today. But it had an impact. And there's a lot of nuance to it. These are people who, there's Okafor lines. You might have heard of Okafor lines, Okafor shipping line, before the war. The first shipping line owned by an individual, a private Igbo businessman. Okafor came out of the war with only the clothes on his back. By the time they came back, everything was gone. So we're talking about a loss of economic power, psychological trauma, a loss of memories, and also a loss of the sense of self. Because when I talked about how we were being treated in Lagos after the war, I was just making a joke. I was making a joke. My mother is I keep talking about my mother because my father is more diplomatic. My mother is a typical Igbo woman. She fears nobody. She fears no man in this world. But I know that those days, how my mother would come back home from work in a nurse, sometimes in tears, but how she was treated by other people. And some people would keep quiet and take the abuse, my mother would not. But I can remember a story. She escorted somebody who illegally had last couple was in charge of the boss. So somebody said, "People, can you take me to him? Can you have my shifra with him?" She said, "Okay, well, he comes to the hospital." He went there. I was drunk as usual, screaming at my mother. My mother started screaming back at him. All the money was the wife, have to carry my mother and say, this man is mad though. So that's the kind of woman she was. But the impact of the war drained this woman of her soul. So if you talk about a singular event, economically, sociologically, psychologically, the impact was one of the worst possible for people.
All right, thank you so much. You know, this is a very touching part of our history as a people. And if you throw your mind back, that's possibly the reason why we still sit at home in the southeast every Monday. Because if there was no civil war, we wouldn't be having sit at home. I mean, some people here think that we're better off on our own. And some other people think we have more interests in the larger country than trying to, dehinge ourselves from the larger federation. But then there are people who are in this space who don't know what prompted the war. And then the kind of scar people are carrying. And you told a story about even to your mother's dying day, that she still felt the pain of the Civil War, how she was tending to wounded soldiers and other people who were wounded during the war. Do you think that scar will ever heal? I'm not talking about the wound. The scar, can we ever really move beyond the point where we're always referencing the war, and it's the reason why we cannot look ahead?
Thank you so much for that question, because it's important. In all the rush to finish my presentation, that was my landing point. Because I alluded to the beginning. The reality is that I am done waiting for anybody. I can speak only for myself, I can't speak for any other person. I am done as an Igbo man waiting for anyone to apologize to me. I am done with that. Now, can we heal? We have to make that conscious, intentional effort to say, you know what, we're going to write about this. I'm no longer looking left, I'm no longer looking right. I know it's not easy. Come on, man, I cannot tell anybody how to breathe or mourn. People, I can't do that, I have no right to do that. But for me, it's about looking forward. Harnessing our strengths as a community. Because people talk about marginalization. What do you do if you feel you're marginalized? You come together. Organize. Organize. That's what the blacks in America did. It's in the Civil War, the Civil Rights era. Organize yourselves. As for sit at home, and get abused for it, let it be. I think it's one of the most destructive things that have happened towards the Igbo land. I am not happy about the detention of Mazen Namdekano. I feel there should be a better way around it. But I certainly don't think that to sit at home, it just hasn't been effective in how many years. Let me be honest, the people is being directed at, they don't care. They really don't care. In fact, the more damage that is inflicted, they're like, good for you, do it to yourself. So I don't think so. The only thing I can appeal to is if there's any way that this matter can be resolved peacefully. The young man spent several years in prison. Well, starts his sentence, easy. Let us hope that he should remove the plan under which this, I'm sorry to say, destructive episode in our history is being perpetrated. Maybe that can be the start. So I appeal that whoever can. I'm not, I have my own views about. I thought Biafra was the quest to defend ourselves was important. My father fought on the Biafra side, and he has no regrets about it, even though he regrets it for the war. But and I felt that we needed somebody to support us, to stand for us. But there was a time when the wars were ended. That's the second thing.
Who tell you because we're from Abakiki, I can't take you in as a tenant. So on that concern, I am asking what is the best way out of it? Because we can't keep saying we are united as a people and then marginalize some part of it. I don't feel there's any Igbo person that is greater than the other if we are being fair in the first place. Then secondly, I'm also asking in the aspect of preserving our cultural practices as people. I lost my grandmother in 2019, and there's this particular cultural practice that my own mother is not even aware of. She actually told me in 2018, we call it ENUGU, ENUGU. It's a day we set aside to celebrate the leg, because we believe that whatever the mouth feasts on, the leg is what makes you get it in the first place. And because, trying to balance the equation between Christianity and practicing the culture that makes us who we are, we sometimes abolish some of these cultural practices because we feel it's unholy, it's not pure, we don't want to be seen as pagan. And then these people are dying. Does it mean as they die, they are dying with these cultural practices that represent who we are? So the question is, how do we preserve it and also balancing the equation in getting unity amongst ourselves as Igbos? Thank you very much.
Being our first engagement, speaking from the community of persons with disabilities, while the lecture was going on, I was, imagining and thinking a whole lot, rising from the community I represent, where I know I have met a few who will always tell me I was a soldier during the Biafra War. My leg was cut off, or I had so injury that rendered me today being a disabled person. And being that I am here today in this meeting, I am beginning to ask myself, and I wish to also throw the question out. It may not be under the powers of Center for Memories to do a whole lot to what is bothering us out there in society, but I know that you may have the contacts, the communication know-how of getting reach to those in power within the East. What has it been so far from that time to date? The fate of those individuals that have fought for this land, and today some are late, while some are still there in disability, with nobody asking about them. Is there any program, is there anything for people like this in our society today? That is question number one. And then number two, I want to say that history, recently we are told of how government and the center tried to remove it from the curriculum and all that. But as we are listening to this lecture today, I was also asking myself that history, the education is in a concurrent list, if I am right. And if that is the case, why is it that the government of the states and down to the local are not integrating part of this into our own curriculum? For us to also begin to do a little, we should not continue to blame the center and perpetually remain on the blame game. I think the damage is done. What is the way out? Thank you.
If you want to do something very to make a sacrifice, you will do it. You don't have to wait for it to be perfect. Because, let me tell you, apart from what I did with the Center for Memories, when they made some contributions, basically all my things are paid from my own pocket. In fact, last one, making pension because it has to be told. And my dad tomorrow, and my dad next week. That's my legacy. That's the point. So I'm not in a better position than you to sit down with somebody with your camera footage we call one person. Say, if the person God for me goes, and that's the only account in the world, that person talking about the realms of the revelation, you are coming goes. So why must you wait for experience? Please get it one way. Everyone get it one way. Please. Now, support for the disabled. Now, even going back into our culture, right? There has always been, even traditional Igbo society, there always been a safety net for those who have disabilities. The society has always provided for them, the traditional society. Because once we abhor laziness, we abhor lack of effort, we respect and support those who, through no fault of theirs, have suffered disabilities.
This very topic raised was what I wanted to talk about before I draw the question. I feel I need to talk immediately. Now, that documentary that you saw of me and a lot of people that happened here in ENUGU, where almost everybody above 40 now they blind. ENUGU State here. This is the same place I think cases of Washioko and cholera down here in ENUGU. Now, when that documentary went out, a case is from Anambra. I'm from Anambra. I've been helping that community with my foundation for the past 5 years before that documentary came out. And he saw that documentary. The first thing he did was to organize that marathon and raise money. His friends donated for that very cause. In fact, those money that were sent that period was used to do a medical program for that community, providing drugs for almost all the blind people in that community. Now, after that documentary went so far worldwide that I'm not an Igbo, not everywhere in the whole world, because I got calls from almost all the countries in this whole world. Now, Igbo now come from some of those countries. The first question will be, now I see have the ENUGU state. They say, yes, you have the ENUGU state. I can take you there. It's opposite Caritas University. And Hassan Nana says, some blatantly tell me that no, if you are never have the ENUGU state. Now, some people will call me, and I will tell them that the inhabitants of that place were mostly people from Ebonyi State. And that's where they were brought out.
And then marginalization. And I think that we should really look at it on the aspect of justice and organization. Because if there is really justice and then we people get to organize ourselves, then all these things that we're talking about, even those that suffered in the war and the rest of things will not be occurring. That's just my comment on it.
na-enwe ndị amamife, na-enwe ndị okwu uche, na-enwe ndị aghụghọ, na-enwe ndị akpa obi. Ejide onye Igbo na mba ndị akpa obi ejeretakwa ya ka ndị Igbo si na-eji egbe mgba ọdị na nke mgba adịrọ natakwa ndị ọgụ mmadụ. Ihe niile anyị na-ekwu ebe a, nna ọgọ nwoke nke azụ, ọgọ m obodo ụbọchị ụkpara, obodo flọg ju mmiri. Ị na-ekwu onye meta m na-arụ ọfụma ahụta m ihe. Ahụ eti anya ijila. Ihe na-ewute mbụ maka ụmụazị. Ndị a na-achọ ịhụ n'ọkụ wee jee were fuel wee rụọ arụ. Obodo na-efu mfu amụ amụ, ha na-efu votu. It's a calculated attempt to divide Igbos, and it was well articulated and implemented. I want to leave our mom and the hand and make here 250.
Data that they apply in their businesses. All right, so that is the point I'm making. And obviously, we're going to more esoteric questions like memory of trauma towards resolution of trauma. Because if you don't understand the whole universe or the data universe of events leading to your trauma, how then can you address it? You have to know a problem, understand the problem before you find a solution. So that is the whole point about Ncheta Boganiro. It's actually a very multifaceted discipline.
Welcome to Southeast News on Signature TV. I am Barry Kumo Ado. The news of the day seems to be strike in Ebonyi, strike in other states. But Ebonyi State threatens to sack striking workers seems to be the headline. But as we're hearing, there is a change to that story. Stay with us as we bring you the rest of the gist. The drama in Ebonyi State seems to have no end, but the current report reaching us says the strike is over. But before then, Governor Francis Winfrey of Ebonyi State had given workers in the state civil service 72 hours to return to their duty post or be replaced.
He gave the order at Government House Abakaliki during a press briefing on the one-week warning strike embarked upon by the workers over the new minimum wage implementation procedure. Governor Winfrey explained that he had implemented the new minimum wage by adding 42,000 naira to the least paid worker on grade level 1, who was hitherto placed on 33,000 naira salary in the previous chart. He pointed out that minimum wage was different from salary increment, noting that he had introduced several worker-friendly policies, including the provision of free buses for work since assuming office. Governor Winfrey said he would not negotiate with the comrade Ogogwao Egu-led NLC in the state and would not sign any agreement with the labor as the minimum wage law was an act of the National Assembly. Governor Winfrey warned workers not to be deceived as he would introduce stable payment for those who turn up. Earlier, workers in Ebonyi State have embarked on one-week warning strike following failure by the state government to comply with the extant procedures for the implementation of the new minimum wage as announced by the federal government. Declaring the action in Abakaliki, the state chairman of NLC, Comrade Ogogweu, said the development was in line with the directive by the national body of the NLC to all states yet to implement the new wage increase. Professor Egu explained that though the state government had on the 2nd of October 2024 announced the inauguration of Minimum Wage Implementation Committee, Governor Francis Winfrey unilaterally announced a wage award of 75,000 naira for grade level 1 and 2 and 40,000 naira for level 3 to 16. He described the pronouncement as averse to the traditional procedure of wage implementation as it did not go through the rigors of negotiation and consequential adjustment that would translate into agreements signed by both the government and the organized labor. Professor Ewu emphasized that the pronouncement was not a product of any collective bargain and was designed to improvise the state workers. The labor leader called on the governor to resign the decision and accept a favorable salary chart that would be a product of the Minimum Wage Implementation Committee inaugurated by the state government. He gave the order at
So we now move to Abia State, where concerned Abia pensioners, a pressure group, have appealed to the state government to begin the payment of arrears of gratuity in installments. The chairman of the group, John Kalu, made an appeal on Monday during a briefing in Umuahia. Kalu urged the government to reconsider its stance on the payment of gratuity as agreed by the leadership of the Abia chapter of the Nigerian Union of Pensioners, NUP, said that although these arrears were not incurred by the present government, he urged the present administration to clear it the same way it paid salary arrears. Kalu also said that pensioners will not mind if the government cleared the arrears of gratuity in installments. Said that the NUP did not carry pensioners along in the said agreement reached with the government and expressed the hope that the matter will be looked into again. Also, the Secretary of the Association, Stanley Bikwe, thanked the government for regular payment of pension without any deductions. He apologized to Governor Alex Otti for the misrepresentations against his person and his administration by the leadership of NUP. The present administration had waived a percentage of Abia pensioners' gratuity based on a memorandum of agreement it reportedly signed with the executive of NUP. Dr. Fabian Iyekweme, a former Commissioner for Foreign and International Affairs in Imo, has filed a 5 million naira suit against the Nigeria Police Force at the Federal High Court in Abuja over alleged unlawful arrests and detention. Iyekweme, who was a commissioner in the first term of Governor Hope Uzodinma, filed a suit marked FHC/ABI/CS/1809/2024 through his lawyer Kinda Mokere on Monday, Fundamental Rights Enforcement suit dated and filed on December 2nd listed Nigerian Police Force and Commissioner of Police, Imo State Command as first and second respondents. The applicant says an order of perpetual injunction restraining the police from further arresting, threat of abduction, detention, intimidation, assault, and harassing him over frivolous and unsubstantiated allegation concerning his fundamental rights of freedom of expression. He also wants an order of a court compelling and directing the defendant to immediately release or grant him bail pending investigation or charge him to court as stipulated in sections 35(4) and 5 and 36(1) of the 1999 Constitution. He seeks a declaration that his arrest on November 28, 2024 in Abuja in most strange, intimidating and threatening, embarrassing, bizarre and Gestapo manner by the police in Imo State Command, who assaulted him and constitutes an infringement of his fundamental human rights, and that his continuous detention by the police amounts to a violation of his fundamental human rights. Says all palliative repairs on bad spots of federal and state roads within Anambra, Ebonyi and Enugu states have been ongoing smoothly and seamlessly. Federal Control of Works in Enugu Smart Ukbi said requests had been made and approval granted for contractors and in various roads to effect repairs and failed spots and portions without further delays. We said that the project tagged Embermont Repairs started some weeks ago with some bad spots of a single lane of Enugu-Abakaliki Road, which started from a New Market roundabout to Enugu, had been fixed. According to him, when the bad spots on the New Market roundabout, FRSC, NYSC, All Saints Church access of the Enugu-Abakaliki Road were fixed by the contractor, and the dualization of the road, most residents thought it was being done by the state government. He said the Ministry of Works remained committed to making all federal roads in Enugu State good and motorable to ensure ease of travel on roads before, during and after the Yuletide. Enugu West Commissioner Gerald Otiji said that Governor Peter Mba had turned the state into a huge construction and reconstruction site as the government embarked on fixing all urban roads. OTG noted that all bad spots of critical link state roads have been given quick intervention, adding that the government had also given attention to federal roads serving ENUGU State. In Ebonyi, the Federal Roads Maintenance Agency FEMA said it had launched Operation Connect to Your Destinations on the Abakaliki-Enugu Highway as part of efforts to checkmate the deplorable condition of roads ahead of a Yuletide. Akiyemi Ojo, a maintenance engineer for the federal government in Ebonyi, said FEMA was committed to road repairs for expectant travelers as Christmas drew closer. Listed some highways including Abakaliki-Afikpo and Abakaliki-Ogoja Cross River border. Meanwhile, the Anambra portion with dual carriage Enugu-Onitsha Expressway has become a one-way movement following the construction of a Enugu-bound lane between Onitsha and Immigration Junction in Oka. Checks in the area revealed that the Onitsha-bound lane remains closed due to ongoing construction work and the total failure of some portions which are degenerated due to gully erosion. That's the news. When we return, we'll take you to Ebonyi State and clear that controversy. If there is any drama in Nigeria, it has always been dramas of labor unions calling workers out for strike. And by the time the workers are beginning to think about settling down to embark on the strike, you will hear it's called off. I told you at the beginning of Southeast News today that it was drama all the way in Ebonyi State. Well, it's on my beat. Is the beat of Amechi Odo, who is a journalist and a staff of Radio Nigeria in Ebonyi. Amechi, good afternoon and welcome to Southeast News on Signature TV.
Barry, I think the line is having issue. I can barely hear you.
Oh, I think I will work on that. Can you hear me now?
Hello?
Can you hear me now?
Yes, I can hear you now.
Okay.
Thank you so much.
All right then. Now, 72 hours ultimatum for workers to return to their duty posts or be replaced. Was it that threat or that the governor has finally signed the agreement and that's why the strike is being called off? I don't know which side of the fence I'll be on. Probably I'll choose the top of the fence. So Amechi, which end are you?
Okay, well, it's a drama, like you pointed out, a subtle one indeed, but it's not a threat from the perspective I'm seeing it. Rather, it's an instruction given to the workers for them to return to work. And when Governor spoke to us yesterday, he based his instruction on the fact that, according to him, that he has actually paid, the minimum wage, because the least worker in the state, which is on salary grade level 1, is receiving something above 70,000. So he said, given that the least paid worker receives something above 70,000, that he has not run foul of the law, because the Minimum Wage Act, as passed by the National Assembly, stipulates that the minimum wage should be 70,000 naira, but he is even paying 75, because when he came on board, he inherited a chart, which made the least paid worker to be receiving something above 30,000, and he was gracious enough to have even given or awarded something on top of it, even before the passage of the Minimum Wage Act. So he gave the instruction, like I pointed out at the issue, considering the fact, for what he said, that he has done the right thing. So it's for him to actually instruct the workers to return to work, because he's not owing anyone.
Right. Well, let's put this into perspective.
Okay.
I would have thought that since a committee was set up, it would have waited for the committee to submit its report before showing its magnanimity.
Well, that is the argument, thrown at us by the leadership of the Nigerian Labour Congress when they briefed us on 1st December. They said a committee was inaugurated sometime in October, and while the committee was trying to fine-tune the processes, the governor rushed to a church service where he announced, the implementation of the minimum wage. And basically, that is where the confusion stemmed from, because from what governor said he announced, he added money, 40,000 naira, to the minimum wage that was being paid before he came on board. Of course, when you add 40,000 naira to 30,000 naira as it were then, that will give you 70,000 mathematically, without progression. Now, that without progression is what the NLC is, fighting for, that this should go with, progression, incremental progression, or consequential adjustments. So, but governor said no, that the law said pay minimum wage to the worker, and the minimum the law accepted is 70, and he is magnanimous to have paid 75. The workers are saying, or labor is saying, look, if you are paying 75, it shouldn't just be 75, there are other things that should go with that 75, okay? So that is, where the problem is. Now, the governor said that the head of service brought to him about 3 charts, salary charts, and he said which one was in place before he came on board. And the head of service showed to him. He said, okay, from what you have, we can lump some money onto what has been in existence, and we arrive at the new minimum wage. And he implemented that, and people shouldn't complain because he has complied with the law. And another argument by the Nigerian Labour Congress is that the implementation of the new minimum wage has a procedure. The procedure is first consequential adjustment, working out a chart, and signing of an agreement, for implementation between the labor leaders and the state government. And that didn't happen. And why it is important, according to them, for it to happen, is so that another governor will not come tomorrow, and begin to change the process or to pay whatever he feels like. But the governor in his own argument said, no, that this is an act of the parliament, an act of the National Assembly, and that there is no more cause for him to go into signing more agreements with anybody, considering that it has already been passed. And as a law-abiding citizen, he's already complying by paying. So it's a whole lot of drama going on in the state. But this morning, I visited some ministries And I found out that workers actually returned. However, when I visited the state judiciary headquarters in Abakaliki here, the gate was under lock, and I learned some staff who came in the morning, quite early in the morning, were asked to return by the labor task force. So I have also inquired, from the back end, because as it appears now, there is no media engagement between we, the media men, and the labor leaders. But from the back end, I inquired, and I was informed that the strike is still ongoing, that it has not been called off. So the workers perhaps returned, maybe right out of fear of being victimized. So they returned because the governor rather said, no work, no pay, and that he is going to introduce stable payment this time around and prorate, the salary. So the number of days you come to work, will amount to the number of money you will receive.
Now, Amechi, this back and forth, the people that suffer more remains those who are beneficiaries of this minimum wage. Because if you pay the worker, he would service his obligations, which automatically means that some other people that are not civil servants would also benefit. But given the present situation, how can the NLC and Governor Francis Nwifuru resolve this matter? What are the probable solutions?
Yes, I must tell you of a fact that the governor has been good to the workers, to the workforce. Immediately he came on board, he gave the first award. He called it an allowance, 10,000 naira allowance. Later he increased it to 20,000. Now, when the minimum wage issue came on board, even before it was passed, like I pointed out, he had already given 40,000 naira salary award. Now, he equally procured some buses. In Abakaliki now, you come to old government house, cabinet's office, you're familiar with this terrain. You see buses, you see workers boarding buses to go to their various offices located at new government house and some other places, including those, moving to Ifo, Federal College of Education, and so on and so forth. However, this salary is one thing that workers don't joke with. And I must tell you, before he came on board, it has been down to poor, very, very poor, to the extent that one of those days, the former governor, Umahi, who is the current minister, was inquiring from a level 16 officer who came to, ESCO chambers for interview, for the position of a PAMSEC. He was inquiring from him what his salary was. And the man said 60,000 naira. Of course, that was a level 16 officer. So you now find out that it has been poor. But this present administration came on board and saw the need, to raise the earnings of the workers. And he has been doing well. And the workers have been commending him all this while till this, minimum wage palaver. So I think the way out of this, confusion is for the governor to call, invite the NLC leadership for a tete-a-tete. They can reason together. He can explain to them what he has done and how he intends to, sustain the tempo, so that what appears to be a wage award can actually graduate into a minimum wage with a consequential adjustment, because that is, the campaign. So if he does that and it is accepted by the leadership of NLC in the state, the strike is, in fact, they will be home and dry. There won't be any qualms any longer. But a situation whereby there are daggers drawn, this one is saying, look, the strike is sustained. This one is saying, if you don't return to work, I will sack you. Well, the grasses suffer, like you pointed out, So that is the issue. But there is need for, a good wage to be given to an employee worker. It is important because it's part of the economic emancipation of the people, like you pointed out.
Okay, as an aside, when Labour got wind of that announcement that the governor has upped the tempo from 70,000 to 75,000, why didn't Labour respond then? Why did they wait from the national headquarters of NLC to give a directive that for states that have not implemented as at the end of November, that they should go on strike? Why didn't they respond immediately to say, Governor, you've been doing...
Your line is wobbling. I can barely hear you, sir.
Sorry about that. Can you hear me now?
Hello?
Hello? Amechi? Amechi? Hello, Amechi?
Hello? I can't hear you.
Okay, I'll take a short break. Can you hear me now? Okay.
Yes, I can.
Okay. All right.
So your last question, sir.
I was saying that during that church service, when the governor announced the wage award, why didn't NLC ask for an audience to see him so that they can say, thank you for this 75,000, but is this a minimum wage? Does it have the consequential adjustments? Does it have incremental implications? So that the governor would have also taken note. Why would they wait till the national headquarters of NLC would direct state NLC that the minimum wage had not been implemented in to go on strike till that time?
Okay, let me answer from two angles. Let me answer from what the NLC chairman, Professor ENUGU, what he told us. He said that shortly after the pronouncement in the church, that is when the salary award was pronounced, 40,000 naira across board from level 3 to 16, then 75,000 naira from for 1 and 2, grade level 1 and 2. That when that happened, they reached out to the governor through the chairman of the committee, who used to be an auditor general in the state here, but now a traditional ruler. They reached out to him, but the governor was not disposed to see them or to hear them out. They made several efforts to speak with him, but that didn't happen until 27th of November. That was when they saw governor, informally, because I raised the question. I asked His Excellency, I said, these people said they made effort to see you, but you didn't oblige them until they saw you informally. He said, that governor's office is everywhere. No matter where one meets him. That the major thing is that he eventually spoke with them, and he told them, look, that he's already implementing this minimum wage by adding money to the salary chart, that to 30,000 naira that was hitherto to being paid. So that is that. They made effort from what the NLC leadership told us. And again, the governor eventually said that he saw them and he told them, look, I am already implementing, so there is no gain making more troubles. So, and they said that eventually they reported to the national body who considered it not to be a minimum wage and directed that Ebonyi workers should proceed on strike, to press on the government to do the necessary things. Yes.
Yes, you said 2. So what's the second?
Yeah, the second, of course, I explained it partially, is that governor didn't want to see them because he felt that he had implemented. So I said I was going to explain it from from 2 angles. The NLC now trying to see, because they said, why didn't they make effort? The answer is that they made effort for what they explained to see the governor, but the governor didn't oblige them because he felt he has done the right thing. But yesterday, one of us pointed out, one of the journalists, at the press briefing, pointed out to the governor that there is a communication issue here. That perhaps if discussions, had taken place before now, perhaps the NLC leadership would have understood that what you did was not a wage award, but minimum wage implementation.
Mm-hmm.
So there was a question like that, and the governor said, okay, that whichever time and way, he chooses to, communicate them, that he has done that. And that is why he's asking the workers to return to work, because he's not owing anyone.
All right, Amechi Odo, I just have to let you go, but I want to trust that since there's that confusion still concerning the situation, whether the strike has been called off or not, that you would oblige us with an update by tomorrow.
I will do that.
That would be great. And that's Amechi Odo, a senior journalist with Radio Nigeria in Ebonyi State. Thank you again, Amechi Odo, for coming on to Southeast News on Signature TV. We're taking a break, and when we return, we're taking you on a trip to Abia State, where there was also a protest, this time not on minimum wage. Stay with us. Yes, just before we went on break, I did tell you that there is another protest, but this time it has nothing to do with the minimum wage. Surprisingly, all over the Southeast, when states talk about building airport, you find many people rejoicing over that. But not in Abia State, where Governor Alex Otti says government has seen a land and has agreed with some people to take that land and build an airport in Abia State. Rather than appreciate that, the people erupted in protest, saying no, that land belongs to them, and that land is the source of their livelihood. I don't have all the stories. Lawrence Wokede does. Lawrence Wokede, good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Lawrence Wokede is a regular here, and is not just a regular, he is a journalist in Abia State, working very hard. Lawrence, this situation concerning this airport and the land at Abia State, where is it taking the people of Abia State to?
You mean the proposed
airport
project? It's a good venture, because with such a project in a state like Abia, at least it will promote transportation sector. At least people will no longer be traveling to
Imo State, Port Harcourt, to go and board flights. Abias are known for being business entrepreneurs, so they need that airport.
So if they need that airport, why are people not happy that their land has been chosen as the place where an airport can be built?
Okay, it was a surprise thing to me when I got that information that people of Nsulu, Mbausi in Nsulu, Isialangwa, North local government area of Abia State, staged a peaceful protest against the planned or the proposed siting of airports in their area. I spoke with three of their prominent personalities. I spoke with one Dr. Max Ndu Agwibi, and also with Echezola, Chief Echezola Oka Umunna, and another stakeholder there, the village head, Chief Ikechukwu Uche. From what I gathered from these three men, it was like they were saying that, not that they are against airport being sited in that area, but they said that they had already given out some portions of land from that area for such a project. And now, government is coming back again to demand for more. And they're now saying that this is the only land which they use for farming, because that area is an agro area where farming is at its best. So they're now saying that if lands are taken just like that, another one, that the people will not see the land they will use, because it's through farming that they survive. They don't have any other lively means of surviving than to farm. And they're now saying that government should look for another site, another place, as they have already offered or mapped out a land for this project before by previous administration, which they are now surprised government is now coming back to collect more land from them. And another thing I gathered from them when I was interviewing some of them through telephone, like Dr. Max told me, and even Chief Ikechukwu, they were saying that the people that are approaching them, even for this land issue, so that it will be used for siting of project, are not the genuine people. That they are looking for the genuine government people who will come. They say that some of the people that are coming to them are members of the party, Labour Party, which the governor belongs to. And which they also know those people. So they were now saying that they need real government officials to come and talk to them. Then they will now tell them why they are agitating, because they don't want to lose more land, because they use it for their farm. If they lose more land, that means most of them will go hungry without having anything to do as their livelihood again.
Okay, now I am getting confused, because when the story first broke, it was that they don't want to give land, and that the people who agreed to give out the land were not the right people. So
yes, they say so. They say so that the people that came for the land are not the rightful people they're supposed to talk with. And at the same time, the people that are saying let the land be given out are not the rightful people. That the real right people that owns the land still says no, because they are using it for farming. And that they won't afford to lose more land again, since some portions of that land has also been mapped out for airports in previous administration. They even cited that of Gaines Village, where the Nsulu Gaines Village, that all those lands, they are using it for their agricultural purpose.
So where do we have a meeting point? Because
good. Go ahead.
Because this issue of waiting to see the real people is something that's a bit difficult, in that you say you don't want to give your land out, but you are still waiting to see the real people. Is it that they want to give a higher bargain in terms of compensation for the land?
Thank you very much. I can't say for that whether their target or their plan was, if they get the real people, maybe to lift their compensation. But one thing they were saying is that those men that were, they accused one JC, is it Uju or Ogu, of plotting all these things. So they were now saying that let's maybe like the chief of staff, because they said that it was when they now agitated that the chief of staff decided to come in person. Chief of staff to the government decided to come in person to see them. It was when they now saw the chief of staff that they started having some, respite that, okay, government is now really coming out for this thing. And they were still talking that they still need their land because they have already given out some portions in the past and that they can't afford to lose any other. So issue of maybe the right people coming in, I don't know if the right people comes in, their plan will be, or their this will be, to now lift the compensation. So they're not even talking of compensation now. Because when I was talking with these three gentlemen, they were not even saying they should compensate them, or they're only saying we need our land for farming. We can't afford to lose more.
Okay, I am not an agriculturist, but I don't know if they have data in terms of the quantity of food that is produced by that area annually, so that we can now say, okay, probably it's time to tell the government of Abia State to have a rethink and begin to cite agricultural industries there, agro-based industries there, so that the people can continue with their farming and get other things done while they look for another place to site the airport. But before you answer that, the original land they gave out for the airport, what happened to it?
That question, $1 million question I myself was even trying to figure out. Because I remember vividly during the Ukezi Bazo's era, at the beginning of his era in the first 4 term, there was a project of airport project. They said they are about to site within that area. Even there's a time we went for that project something, but it was not in Sulu. That one was not in Sulu. So surprisingly, it's like each government that comes up, they will choose
a different area.
Area. Because the ones I remember that time Okezi Bazu went to wasn't in that Sulu area side. It was towards what's it called, ENUGU area, another local government. But surprisingly now, another airport is coming up and they're now siting it at Isialangwa, where even the governor comes from, because the governor is from the same Isialangwa. Okay. They're all within that area, they are doing this thing. So the problem is, you talk of the agricultural benefits to quantify such a thing. For me, I believe there's one thing people don't know. Once you want development, you must sacrifice. No, I don't know whether that idea has been embedded into the brains of those people at Insulu, that for development to come to your area, you must sacrifice land. Go to Umaya. Many lands were lost in the name of citing either industries or citing secretariat or whatever, stadium, all those things. So for them people of Insulu, to me, I'm advising them, no matter whatever you say your farmland is, you still have others. Sacrifice this one so that when airport comes in, development will come. People will start coming to your area to build. By that time, land will rise. The cost of land will rise. Maybe a plot of land that time, you may be finding it running in millions because of that airport that was sited there. But they refuse. They want to get their land. This is what the English people say, get your cake and eat your cake and stay happy back. They want to get their land and still tomorrow they will start to shout that development is not reaching to them.
Now, you talked about the Insulu Games Village.
Yes.
How developed is that Games Village?
To be frank with you, for some time now, I have not visited that Insulu Games Village to assess the level of development there. But in fact, it's like it's an abandoned project, if I'm using my own language.
Now,
but I know very soon OT will step into that place because we have already, there's a plan. There's a time we throw a question to them, to him, during our media chat, and he said that he will come to that place.
Okay.
So he's gradually moving. We will develop that place to a very peak,
Okay.
village. But for now, much is not done there.
Now, probably the people of that village are thinking, they take our land, they promise to cite a project, and never do. So they take the land, they took the space for the Nsulu Games Village, and the Games Village proposal is far more than 10 years ago, and the place has not been developed. If they take this airport and it's not developed for the next 10, 20 years, what happens to the agriculture? That may be the question on their mind. That may be what is pushing them to protest.
Yes, I suspect much because they may say, look at Nsulu village, nothing has been done much there. And if the land airport is an elephant project, it's not a project of under 1 year you complete, under 4 years you complete. It can last you 10 years to complete a very big project like airport. So they may be thinking within that years, what will they be doing? What will they, the agricultural lands have been taken away. That's all. Maybe they have their own reason.
Okay. I think as the days reveal the truth, we'll find out what their reasons are.
Yes.
Thank you very much, Lawrence Mokedi, for coming on to Southeast News. And there's this other story, Lawrence will talk about after the program, that we need to investigate. Until then, I am saying thank you for watching Southeast News today. We'll be back tomorrow. Barry Kumado is my name. Thank you.
Good evening, and welcome to Uncommon Conversations on Signature Television. Of course, we are reaching you from our studios in ENUGU, the coast city state. Before, during, and after 2023 electioneering campaigns, Dr. Barrister Pitamba, then candidate and now governor of Enugu State, made a robust statement. He boldly stated that he would take Enugu economy from $4 billion to $30 billion. That was a tall order. Many doubted him. Many are still doubting him. They believe it's not possible, but events in the past 1 year and 2 months may prove the naysayers wrong, or may prove the believers right. Apart from expected huge financial inflow from foreign capitals and investments, Enugu State is expected to make a quantum leap in revenue generation. And that's why the position of the executive chairman of the Internal Revenue Board is important. Before now, somebody was appointed, and for reasons unclear to this presenter, he was replaced with our guest this afternoon. Our guest is Emmanuel Ekene Okenwa. Namani. Namani, good evening.
Good evening.
And welcome to Signature Television.
Thank you.
And importantly, to Uncommon Conversations.
Yes,
this evening, this evening we're going to have quite an uncommon conversations around the job you do, around who Ekene Naman is, and the functions of your office, the challenges you are facing, and the hurdles you've crossed, and the accomplishments you've made. So I'm going to start by asking you first, maybe just tell me why you think you are qualified for this job. Your background, which is important.
Really?
Yes, it's very important.
This one is
you're a journalist.
It's a real interview.
If you're a journalist and I'm dumped into the revenue board, maybe I'll be lost.
All right.
That's your background.
Anyway, I'm a fellow of the Institute of Chartered Accountants of Nigeria. So what it means that I'm an accounting professional and also a tax professional. I'm also a member of the Chartered Institute of Taxation of Nigeria. So I've had over 2 decades experience in internal control and also banking experience. So I came from one of the big 4 banks in Nigeria. So I don't know if I must sell myself more than this.
No, I think you're right. But I asked the question because I wanted our viewers to have an idea of the man that Emmanuel Ekene Naman is. Coming from a rich accounting and taxation background.
Yes.
That means, for all intents and purposes, you are eminently qualified for the job you are doing. Because part of the challenges we have in Nigeria is recruitment process.
Yes.
Sometimes you put square pegs in round holes, and round holes in square pegs. And so you come really qualified. Now, one question that might be very uncommon is, by the time you took over as executive chairman, do you have an idea of what was the monthly revenue for the state at then? And between then and now, what has happened?
All right. You know, the 2 scenarios may not be the same, and the environment may not be the same.
It's still Enugu State. Our territory has not changed.
It may be Enugu State, no doubt, but a ton of events have actually shown that the environments are no longer the same. The orientation of the people are no longer the same. The exposure of the people to tax matters are no longer the same. And again, the willingness of government to sustain revenue for the state may not be the same. So it may not be too good begin to compare what has happened, but for the purpose of this conversation.
Yes, for those who are actually watching you.
Yes, before we came in, the state has actually been doing well. So we made an average revenue of 2.4 billion naira a month. And you know, when we say 2.3 billion a month, the state, it was actually a tall order for the state to say we can pay our salaries from our revenue, bearing in mind that some of this revenue generation actually go back to the people that generate it, like self-sustaining institutions. So, but when we came on board, we had new targets. We had some order that we can, directives that we cannot say no. Okay. So some of these directives are that you see this payment, if you see this payment, if we don't generate it, nobody pays it. So in order to sustain the state in terms of those routine OPEX, so we have to begin to map out what are the areas we have potentials that we have not been able to tap from. What are those areas that requires widening the net, even when we know that we are restricted in terms of the provisions of the tax law, because most of the tax laws are actually law of the federation, which we cannot come back to state and say we want to amend or increase. So we said, okay, how do we let our people know that are supposed to pay this tax? So we started with campaign. We started by letting them know that everybody has to contribute towards the building of our state. So we started ensuring that the payees come as when due, ensuring that our people are meant to know that they are supposed to file, make remittances and file. So we also touched our land use law, our land use computations, ensuring that it's not just about what the law says, but the ability of our people to pay, considering the level of our economic level. So we reduce the land use charge computations to ensure that it's affordable to our people and that we can easily collect. We also activated some of our dormant tax laws, such as the purchase tax, such as the capital gain tax. Again, we dare to enter where everybody has advised, do not go there, you won't make anything, the informal sector. Okay. So we delved into informal sector taxes, which people may not know that is actually the mainstay of our economy, because an average Igbo man is a trader. And these traders over the years had not paid their tax into the government coffer. So yes, we engage them, series of meetings, series of I don't agree, you must agree, we must not agree. So after several engagements, and we agreed to work with the informal sector. The informal sector is such a whole activity whereby every single aspect of the informal sector is represented by a union. And this union have level 1, level 2, level 3 union. And when you begin to engage them on level 1, level 2, level 3, you begin to see the hurdles involved in engaging them. So, but we were able to agree, and we entered the informal sector, introducing a very simple technology we call the e-ticket. And that's just the change we've seen.
And And so this quantum leap, so what has this yielded in terms of revenue monthly now?
Yes, revenue.
Just being conservative.
Revenue generation has actually been up and down. It's not something that is
average.
On average, we can, as at last month, we can tell you that we are making an average of 5 billion.
So that's a quantum leap, from 2.3, 2.4 to 5 billion.
Yeah,
it's actually a quantum leap.
Average of 5 billion as at last month. And
yes, but my brother, a lot of people may not share your sentiments about the consultations. You know, I'm a media guy, and the way you just said them, it looks so effortless. Like, you had consultations and people agreed. That's not the feeling out there.
Yes.
That's not the feeling out there.
Of course.
But we'll get to that as we proceed. Because when you say you engage in campaigns.
I told you that in the informal sector, you have levels of union.
Yes.
There is no person that will, even you as a media consultant, will not come to tell me that if I want to engage the people at Ogbete, that I'll tell everybody at Ogbete to close their shop and come to the social hall.
Yes.
The question is, where is the hall? Where is that hall that will contain everybody in Ogbete? Unless you don't want to discuss, Ogbete has a leader. And this leader is represented by line, by line, by line. And when you engage them, you have actually engaged Ogbete. If I engage the asthmatas, the trader union of the entire ENUGU state, asthmatas in the entire ENUGU state, I've engaged the entire market in ENUGU state. So you don't expect me to begin to go to shop one by one.
No, I know. Let me tell you what it's like. It's like if you say now that Nigeria is, in the next 2 days, we don't know what's going to happen. The protests, well, it could be successful in some area, it will not. It's assumed that our representatives may have spoken for us, whether they are members of the House of Reps or House of Assembly, because we elected them to represent us. But people are saying, no. They may have agreed that this is what it should be. So it's possible you've engaged the leaders. And leaders may not have delivered this concept well to the people.
They did.
Well, as we will see in this conversation, you see that it may not be Uhuru.
No, they did. Only that, when it comes to payment, when it comes to bringing out money,
that's where the issue is.
For an average Igbo man, no matter the level of engagement, no matter the level of agreement, and it ends up in you bringing out the money, it's like a coughing out blood in the body system of an Igbo man.
Okay. Okay, let me now ask you, what's the relationship, if any, between these revenue collections and economic development?
Beautiful. You see, I've said this time and over again that any organization, not just government, that cannot assure the revenue sustainability, that organization has no going concern.
Okay.
In part of this world, what has actually made us to look as if to say we are not developing it because we have not assured our revenue sustainability. All over the world, tax is the engine that fuels development. No part of the world can claim to have developed by waiting for donor agencies or by loan. So you have to first of all sustain your revenue. The truth of the matter is that ENUGU as a city has a massive potential for revenue. You may doubt it. Another person may also come to say it's not true. But as the time goes on, we begin to unfold it and let people know that ENUGU has massive potential beyond their understanding. Because we've seen our economy as, some people have challenged people who say ENUGU state is a civil service state. I say no. ENUGU is never a civil service state. ENUGU is a business environment.
Okay. One of the things they say out there is that, I don't know how true it is, but thank God you are here, that you are running a unitary or unified revenue collection in the state, that you've taken the revenue collection potentials of local governments I don't know how true that is. They say they've been asked not to collect certain revenue.
Yes, true.
So tell me.
Yes.
Why is that so?
Why we are is that the government has declared to support businesses. And in accordance with the tax policy of the Federation that 2017, the tax policy is geared towards unifying tax collection. So the governor is a businessman. He has suffered the challenges of multiple tax collection from different levels of government.
You're still accused of that, but we'll come to that shortly.
Business. So he prefers that we unify tax collection and revenue collection, and to ensure that the business does not receive too many footfalls of revenue collectors coming into the business, because some will come like an evangelist, they end up collecting money. Some will come like Agboro, and they still collect money. Some will come in different form. How do we unify this collection? So what we did was introduce the e-ticket. That e-ticket unified state collection and the local government collection. So, but those who tell you that we've unified it, and they may be telling you are the negative.
You're in the unitary revenue collection.
And they may be telling you maybe to tell you that, but I don't think the players, local government players, key players maybe, or stakeholders will be able to tell you this. But I will explain it here for us to know what we are doing. When we come to the market, the local government used to go to the market to collect some revenue.
Abattoir, a lot of things.
So when we do go there to collect. So state also go there to collect summer, business premise, tax. And we said, no, unify them. Local government, what are you collecting? Let's bring it together. Summer, what is it here? Bring it together. Business premise, bring it together. Tax, can we go into presumptive tax? Yes, bring it together. So you brought all this in together, and we dispense them as one revenue.
So how do you share the revenue?
Everybody knows their own.
I'm not asking how. Knowing is one thing, sharing is another.
No, we don't share to anybody.
Okay, so what do you do with it?
The technology we use, technology is an enabler. Every night, whatever is collected, there is what you call a split. The local government gets their own. That night is not tomorrow. Every other agency that is self-sustaining, that is in that bucket, gets that night. I'm not talking about tomorrow, that night.
Danger of a single story.
I don't go into doing reconciliation. So no local government that is involved in this tells you that I have not seen our money. If one local government say, I want to know how much you have collected for, I say, look at what you have collected for you. Check your bank statement. Look at the date of payment one by one. Go into it and let me know. I don't go into reconciliation. This technology pays as it is. So that is why I say sometimes people who are telling you this may be telling you to woo sentiments. I get it. But this is actually what we do.
I'm not sure, for fear of reprisal, that either former or those who are holding brief for local government would want to courageously appear on this program to speak to the points you've raised. Again, I was a player in the local government. And so I easily talk with them about what are their challenges.
Of course.
And one of those would be they're not seeing their revenue. But that's a story for another day. Now, but let me also add, when you unify revenue collection and via technology you dispense, you've taken a vital aspect, quote and unquote, of the autonomy of the local government. Because that is the issue in Nigeria as of today. I recall once I granted an interview to a medium and asked me, I said I was chairman for 4 years. I was able to buy tractors, I was able to buy dozers, I was able to buy rollers, I was able to buy ambulances. The first state local government partnership on road construction, running from Akpasha to Lokwanta, was started by my local government and the ENUGU state government.
Okay.
It was the first time, and because we had complete unvetted access to our funds, and we collected whatever, nobody needed to tell us what to do. If at my age I was a local government chairman and they assume my level of intellect is limited, that I needed to be told what to do. Then, but that's a story for another, like I said.
Let me
now, so this issue,
let me correct an impression.
It's better you correct it because it's common in it's not common in the open space.
No. It is the people making this allegation are also your colleagues.
No, don't look at my colleagues.
Who left local government and also hold on to the local government revenue.
That's an accusation.
I have to
that's an accusation.
I have to say it here openly.
That's an accusation.
Because I know the nitty-gritty of it.
Okay.
So
that's why you are here.
They felt what they are holding on to has been taken away from them. So you are closer to them. They will continue to make this kind of allegation. But none of the local government is complaining because they are better off. Again, in the state, the government of Barrister Peter Ndubuisimba don't care and don't touch local government allocation. It goes to them directly. You can go and engage in the local government. Now we don't have chairman, we have HPMs as holding brief for chairman. Go and ask them. I get it. But I'm not saying you should go and demand for your own Gunjio.
No.
Again, the issue of people saying
the truth is, like I said, the truth is that.
Let me also say that the issue of people saying unification.
Yes.
Unification has been part and parcel